coffee table, an electric guitar. These are the things you could enjoy, all cast into oblivion. Because when you throw away money on wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have bought with it. Visit EnergySavers.gov and get tips on how to save energy and money. Then do things like switch to Energy Star light bulbs or Energy Star appliances, and you could save hundreds of dollars a year. So this doesn't happen to the recliner you've had your eye on, or this to the treadmill on your wish list, or this to the shiny new bike your kid's been asking for. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
President Trump again denies forcibly kissing a woman at Trump Tower 12 years ago. There's a Washington Post story out today about Rachel Crooks. She was one of the women who spoke out before the campaign about her alleged harassment by the president, now the president. She was once a receptionist at Trump Tower. The president on Twitter writes that to the best of his knowledge, he's never even met this woman. President Trump and some other Republicans are crying foul over Pennsylvania's new congressional map.
The state Supreme Court ruling redrew the maps of the state's congressional districts. But the new map cuts the number of districts that President Trump won from 12 to 10. It increases the number of districts Hillary Clinton won from 6 to 8. That prompted President Trump to tweet in part, "Hope Republicans in the great state of Pennsylvania challenge the new push congressional map all the way to the Supreme Court if necessary." The state's Republican chairman, Val DeGioia, says he will do just that.
This is a blatant power grab by a Supreme Court that seems hell-bent on drawing more Democrat seats as opposed to applying with the Constitution.
But Democrats praise the ruling, saying it eliminates the gerrymandering that puts some Republicans in office and will make the state's congressional races more competitive. I'm Eric Shawn, Fox News.
A deadly flare-up in Syria's civil war.
It is the largest Syrian government military offensive against rebels in months, and the most deadly. At least 127 people died on Monday in eastern Ghouta alone, including dozens of women and children. Both the Assad regime and the Russian backers continue to insist Syrian troops are only targeting terrorists. But the World Health Organization says government forces are intentionally bombing civilian targets and have destroyed at least 5 hospitals.
That's Fox's Connor Powell. There could be a new treatment coming to help prevent serious allergic reactions to peanuts. A company developing capsules of peanut flour says they have helped children's tolerance in a major study. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News Radio.
Special things only come around once a year, and it's time for fish fans to celebrate the return of Wendy's Cod Filet Sandwich. Wendy's uses the gold standard for fried fish, wild-caught Northern Pacific cod, breaded with panko crumbs to a light crisp. Add a new creamy dill tartar sauce and crisp pickles, and you've got the fish sandwich many say is the best of the bunch. Get yours today at Wendy's, located in Tamuning, Veragata, Agana, Dededo, and Naval Base. Wendy's Cod Filet. Now that's better.
Through incredible diligence and collaboration between all of our airport partners, AB Wonpat International Airport has earned a 100% perfect score for meeting and exceeding FAA standards in safety and best practices for 2 years in a row. We are proud to be the first and only airport in the Pacific region to achieve this. Your airport familia works hard to keep you safe. Guam International Airport Authority, celebrating 42 with you.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and the Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 6 a.m. this Wednesday. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Rival revenue bills up for a trio of public hearings today at the legislature. One bill from the governor, the other introduced by Speaker Benjamin Cruz. The governor proposing a temporary 2-year 50% increase in the business privilege tax from 4% now to 6%. The Speaker also proposing a temporary 25% 2-year BBT increase from 4 to 5%, coupled with a pay raise rollback for all GovGuam employees back to the levels they were at prior to the implementation of the Hay pay raises in 2014. 3 hearings on both bills will be held in the legislature's public hearing room today. The first at 9:30 this morning, then at 2 this afternoon, and again at 6 p.m. this evening. GovGuam is facing a $67 million shortfall this fiscal year alone in the wake of the federal tax reform legislation passed in December by Congress. Meanwhile, thousands of GovGuam workers yesterday received a memo from Governor Calvo encouraging them to turn out at the hearing and voice their opinions on the 2 bills. In his message to the employees, the governor wrote he does not support repealing salary increases, saying, "This is not an option for us. Reducing our workforce pay would do more harm to our economy than help," he said. In a statement in response to the governor's message, Speaker Cruz said he would offer his response prior to the hearing. The Speaker also invited everyone impacted by the current fiscal crisis to turn out for one of the hearings today. We'll have more news after this.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
As we journey through the new year, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
News time here at The Point is 10 minutes past 6 a.m. A Department of Corrections detainee thought he was a free man when he was released from prison over the weekend, but quickly learned that that was a mistake. DepCorps Director Tony Lamarena explaining that the confusion stemmed from 2 separate criminal cases involving inmate Ben Espinoza. DOC received a release order for Espinoza in one of those cases, but he was still serving time in the other. Lamarena said an internal affairs investigation is underway to figure out what caused the accidental release. Espinoza was picked up shortly after he was released. He's now back behind bars. Meanwhile, 2 detainees face additional disciplinary charges after they were caught fighting at the prison on Monday. Lamarena says the 2 were evaluated by medical staff, sustained only minor injuries. Saipan's Department of Public Safety and the Federal Bureau of Investigation executed a search warrant last Saturday at a Koblerville property. They were looking for the remains of Melania and Paloma Luke. The 2 sisters were last seen nearly 7 years ago on May 25, 2011, near a school bus stop. Court documents authorized investigators to search the residential compound and in the vicinity behind a home belonging to Ana and Calistro Crisostomo, the parents of convicted murderer Joseph Crisostomo. In 2014, Joseph Crisostomo was sent to jail for an unrelated murder from 2012. He is currently serving a life sentence in the CNMI. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray now with the weather.
Partly cloudy skies today, Kevin. Some isolated light showers, easterly winds 15 to 20 miles an hour. Daytime highs today, 89 degrees, just like it was yesterday. Partly cloudy skies and isolated showers tonight. Northeast winds 10 to 20 miles an hour and overnight lows of about 76 degrees. Say it with me now, just like yesterday. What's different? Overall dry pattern persisting through the Marianas into the next week. Clouds will decrease today, but there is a trade wind disturbance in Chuuk, which will pass by to the south of Guam tomorrow-ish, bringing more clouds into the area and a slight uptick in surface winds. By Friday, partly cloudy skies and drier weather is going to be making its way back. For those of you hitting the water, high surf advisory in effect until 6 o'clock tomorrow morning along north-facing reefs and a high risk of rip currents through until Tuesday morning along north-facing reefs as well. Very, very careful out there, especially on the north and eastern side of the island. That's news and weather together right here on The Point.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
$7 meal from Circle K. Get your choice of 2 Nathan's all-beef hot dogs or a half-pound Nathan's all-beef footlong, a big wrap bag of chips, and any size Polar Pop. That's a giant deal of a meal, all for only $7. Circle K. Take it easy.
Subway's got your fresh choices for Lent. Sink your teeth into the classic tuna or indulge in the mouthwatering greatness of their seafood sensation. They got something new, the Tasty Veggie Max, a delicious vegetarian patty. I like that. The words that don't normally go together, but you can find it that way at Subway. Delicious and vegetarian, free of artificial colors and artificial flavors. Visit any of their convenient locations today at Subway. Fresh is what they do.
The car of the year is here. The all-new 2018 Honda Accord. Only a Triple J. Total redesign inside and out. It's no surprise that it's Car and Driver's 10 Best a record 32 times. With all-new features like the Honda Sensing Standard, Bluetooth and reverse camera, an all-new touchscreen setup, and an all-new 1.5 and 2.0 turbo engines. Best in its class and equipped with Honda's first 10-speed transmission. You'll have to test drive for yourself or take a virtual 360-degree tour of the Accord online at triplejguam.com. Triple J. Customers first.
When the power goes out on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morrico Equipment, LLC on EPAL Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946. Don't forget to click on to morricoequipment.com.
I'm a working mom and could really use more hours in my day. Thankfully, my non-electric Kinetico water treatment system has simplified my life. It's easier to clean my home with Kinetico conditioned water. No more scrubbing tubs or wiping water spots. Cleaners work better and last longer. And all the Kinetico drinking water we want is right here. No more lugging home bottled water. All this, and I'm saving money too, thanks to Kinetico.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Well,
Well, I guess we better get started. And if today is anything like yesterday, it's going to be one of those things where I'm looking at the clock at 9:59 going, dude, I still got stuff to talk about. What is this? Just a kind of a crazy Tuesday yesterday, and I think this is going to turn into a crazy kind of Wednesday. Welcome to the morning show, the Ray Gibson Show here on The Point. My name is Ray. Kevin Kerrigan, Mike's side, he handles all of the news obligations that we take care of. And Michael Knight on the other side of the studio glass, pushing buttons and keeping an eye on weather. You're not actually looking at anything, right? Just the dry pattern?
Pretty much, yeah. That's well, we do have a little the trade wind disturbance.
Yeah.
It's sliding south of here. Pull up satellite, you can see it pretty well. So some of that might, get up in here and give us a few clouds, but no big deal.
Nothing major to worry about. Okay, that in addition to the other things that he takes care of, Megan and receiving telephone calls, you can call in 888-8255. That number again is 888-8255. Number of topics that we can develop here this morning, and in addition to an in-studio guest. Yesterday, we were pleased to have Governor Eddie Jerome Baza Calvo, or if you were watching the video feed, Eddie Pepsi Calvo. And somebody asked me about this. Why do you call him Eddie Pepsi Calvo? Because it used to be the guy ran Pepsi Cola. And when Eddie was in charge of Pepsi all those years ago, that was when the tide turned. He made it his goal to make it so that Pepsi outsold Coca-Cola here. Ooh. And Guam was one of the first places where they were ever able to do that. And so that was kind of his nickname. That and his uncle was Eddie Calvo.
Oh, okay.
And so in the family, they said, well, which is which? He said, well, that one's Eddie Pepsi, and that one's just Eddie. And that's the way they kept everything together in the family. So that's why we did. Anyways, Eddie's in the studio yesterday, and making some conversation with me about a number of, I thought, some pretty interesting topics. And it was one of those things where you sit there and realize he hands you a couple of holy grails for talk radio, but there's nothing, absolutely nothing that you can do about it until later, until after you've had a chance to, develop some of the thoughts. As we're talking about this yesterday, and he says, well, all the cards are on the table. I'm willing to look at recreational marijuana and casino.
That was a surprise.
Among others. And I thought, well, that's thanks very much. And I'm thinking, let's just stop talking about the economy and the government and just go after this now for a couple of minutes. But it sounded like they were just kind of examples of how everything is on the table.
Sure, they were just ideas. He wasn't serious about proposing any of those casino gambling.
Not like he had the legislation in his back pocket and said, well, Ray, look at this. Look at what this. I just fleshed this out while I was waiting for the coffee outside.
He did want to start the conversation, though, and he has.
That's not the first time he's gone with that recreational marijuana viewpoint. He was on that train right before I got here last year and had to back off of it real quick.
Well, I think at the time there was still this kind of holding out from a number of people that we were going to finally be able to do something with the medicinal marijuana and straighten out the rules and make them easy and cheap to follow, and straighten out the idea about dosages and labs and make that easy and cheap to follow. But it's still in all with the new legislation that they were doing over at the legislature, it still sounds like there is the need, because we're talking about dosages and some kind of pseudo medicinal prescriptions, if you will. So you kind of got to keep that stuff straight in your head and make sure it's good if you're going to be giving it to people for their health. But if we're doing recreational marijuana,
well, who cares about health, right?
You grow it. You can grow. Do you know? Marijuana seems to me is probably one of those kinds of plants. This recollection from the 1970s. You can probably grow that on asphalt.
You can grow just about anywhere.
You just the right amount of sunlight.
It's a weed, right?
Yeah, right amount. So-called, right? The right amount of sunshine and water and some kind of plant food, and you should be able to sprout it. Now, it might not be the good stuff. Might not be the high grade material that you can buy from the 20-year-old down the street. But still in all, and that would resolve the problems. If you believe that this is going to help you with whatever ailments you have, you can either grow it yourself, buy it from, or ask your neighbor. Amut, we'll make this like the medicine, the Surahana medicine. You get it from them, and everything will be all right. But the question that I had was if we do this recreational marijuana thing, what's the connection between that and taxation? Because as I said, if I can grow it myself, or if you've grown some medicinal and you couldn't possibly smoke it all in your lifetime or this weekend, you share it with a buddy, right? Right. Well, how do I tax that?
Yeah, there's really no way. I mean,
that transaction.
Aside from taxing those that dispense the product, that'll be your only way of going at it.
I know. I don't know. The only connection that I can see that we might be able to turn this, because we're not going to be able to do retail, I don't think.
License all the growers, huh?
Oh. The same way, I don't know.
Send an inspector out to the field of dreams.
So we've now with the licensing and the inspectors and the auditors and the other stuff now to maintain some kind of control. We've now wiped out any additional revenue that we might have gotten from this plan. But I wonder if we'd said. Sorry, didn't mean that. If we had said in a very public and international way that Guam is going to be your haven for 420, man. Just come on out here and bring your swimsuit, bring your slippers, and smoke it up.
Wow, what that would do to the tourist numbers, huh?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's the speculation? What do you think? Do you think more people would come to Guam? Do you think that maybe we'd get some of those younger Japanese?
Yeah, certainly from Asia. I mean, it's not going to bring any mainlander Americans over here.
Certainly not from Colorado, Oregon, California.
No, but yeah, I think the Philippines, they'd really start coming over here in droves. And oh yeah.
I'm sorry, they don't have marijuana in the Philippines?
No, they don't even have medicinal there.
Is it very expensive? Is it very dangerous to have that? Well, I guess Duterte, if you're selling dope.
You got to
shoot them there.
Yeah, they just shoot you and throw a sign on you, whether you got it or not. But yeah, it's
I've read some of those stories too.
It's a big problem over there, though, because I mean, there are a lot of users, and they've cracked down.
But it's marijuana.
Well, the church. It's a church thing. For one, the church frowns upon it. It's one of the reasons why I have doubts about it actually taking hold here, because of the church. The church just won't allow those kind of vices.
They dismantled the authority of the church with all the pedophile priest stories and things like that. I mean, I think that is what it is. You can't stand on. I think it would be difficult to stand on that pulpit. Yeah. Given the kind of allegations that they've got at the church, and say, well, don't smoke marijuana. Otherwise, you'll go to hell.
Yeah.
What kind of sentence do you get for some of the stuff the allegations are made on? But anyway, see, and Mike knows about this stuff. He's a friend, relations, and love life in the Philippines. So you know about what you're speaking of there. But I'm curious, Kevin, you and I mean, from here, you've been here and in and around the Asia region for the last 35 years. What do you think? Do you think there would be more people coming to Guam?
Certainly, a younger crowd. I think that the novelty of it at least would draw.
Come on out here.
Sure.
Yeah, I wonder if it's the same as like people that go to Fiji.
Hi, Guam.
Have a smoke and a smile.
Think of all the lines you could come up with.
Yeah, we just got two good ones, and without even thinking about it. But I wonder about would that do something? What kind of effect would that have on inbound arrivals? Would it scare some people away? Would it?
Probably.
We that conversation
There's
about
good and bad
family values. I don't know. We got to find, where's the expert? 888-8255. 888-8255. Yeah, help me through this. I'm not saying it's a great idea. I think it's worth fleshing out the conversation. And unlike medicinal marijuana, and I have an aversion to that conversation for a number of reasons, because I just don't think it's ever going to happen. I don't think that we've got the capacity, the bandwidth to be able to set up the kind of prices that we need for the laboratory. I don't think I think the licenses when they first came out were a little bit expensive and prohibitive. It just looked like we were setting ourselves up at such a massive scale that there was no way that little itty-bitty Guam could do something like this. But if we're just talking about recreational marijuana,
much easier.
No serious transactions going back and forth, because you can't do anything with the money anyway. You can't stick it in a bank. You have to do the Bitcoin thing. At any rate, so 888-8255. That's just me killing some time here. I forgot to open up a web page here so that I can see who's on the line. I might just take a chance on this one. Hi, this is Ray. Who's this?
This is Average Joe.
Hey, Average Joe. What do you think of the governor's idea, buddy? You want to just smoke it up?
You know, Ray, the thing about that is you mentioned all kinds of approaches with the, was it the medicinal the Serrano? That's more medicinal use, and people are trained, and they're usually like elders, or they're trained by elders. It's a serious issue. It can't be taken lightly, and that's the difference between recreational versus medicinal.
Of course, the Serrano's not an actual medical practitioner. It's more of a cultural acknowledgement that they know the herbs and the fruits and the vegetables better than anybody else, and knows which ones to use to get rid of cold sores and sore throats. We're not talking about fixing cancer or curing AIDS.
Yeah, and it's a really recreational. It's something that I think medicinal should be emphasized, because then you talk about labs, and then you can have measuring of the actual.
And we have a law that people voted on that said that we could do exactly that, and we haven't been able to do it. And what is it? 2 years, 3 years, 4 years since we've had that conversation. If we just came out and said just do recreational, we wouldn't have to worry about all of that bureaucracy, all of the way to the licensing, all of those things. If you want to smoke dope, grow it and smoke it. If you and your friends want to get together and see who's got the best, you and your friends get together and try to grow the best weed, and that's all there is to that. The government doesn't need to get involved in this, and I think that to that degree it would be all right. Now, will that do anything for the coffers of the government? Will it bring any money in? And if we're just talking about me and you and Miguel sharing a bag or two just among friends, probably not. But will tourists come to Guam knowing that Joe and Ray and Mike have ample supplies, and we'd be more than happy to give you a joint or two?
Wouldn't it be kind of like recreational drinking of alcohol? The government's always going to have to think of the public safety and find a way to. Like they have 100 proof for alcohol, the different proofs. So I think the responsible thing to do is to figure out how to measure the different compounds, the TCH, or I don't know. There's like several different compounds.
But then we're right back to where we started at. We're right back to, oh my gosh, there needs to be some kind of regulation.
Yeah,
I'm just saying it's recreational. There doesn't need to be, by definition, there doesn't need to be any regulation.
How much will it cost for a lab, though? Is it that expensive?
The serious lab that we're talking about, $1 million plus.
I mean, how difficult?
Maybe 12 if you want to get the right kind.
So we can go around to the same people, the recreational people, and say, hey, look, it's going to make it a lot easier if you're willing to give these donations. We collect the donations and get a lab, and then.
Yeah, but why? Why? Why do you want a lab?
Well, why do we need a UOG? Why do we need a GVB?
What do you need a lab for? Look, if somebody says, "Hey, I've got some marijuana. Would you like to recreational get together and recreate?" You're not going to. What's the THC content? Can you give it to me in grams? Can you give it to me in grams?
Let me get my
how high
test
am I going to
tubes.
get on this? Yeah, you're not going to do that. I'm just saying it's recreational.
Yeah, they say that the marijuana that when you were a kid is way different from the marijuana around now. So it could be dangerous.
It could be dangerous. I'm not going to drive. I will not talk radio while we're doing it. How's that? Hey, listen, I gotta go. Let me take care of headlines. We'll run into another conversation about this. Jim, stick around. I'm going to get to you in just a minute as well. 6:30 in the morning. This is The Point, the Ray Gibson Show, and headlines now from the Post.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here are the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning. Thousands of GovGuam workers received a memo from Governor Calvo yesterday encouraging them to voice their opinions today on two different measures aimed at addressing the government's fiscal crisis. The governor has proposed increasing the business privilege tax from 4 to 6% for about 2 years. The increase would maintain government stability while also giving funds to the Guam Memorial Hospital, said the governor. Speaker Benjamin Cruz's Bill 244, meanwhile, proposes a government-wide temporary pay raise rollback and increasing the BPT from 4 to 5% for about 2 years, as well as 10% reductions in the budgets of the governor's office and the legislature. Guam is currently facing a roughly $67 million shortfall in the wake of the federal tax reform legislation passed by Congress in December. The public hearings today are slated for 9:30, 2 p.m. this afternoon, and 6 this evening at the Guam Congress Building. Guam Delegate Madeline Bordallo formally announcing her bid for a 9th term as Guam's delegate to the U.S. House of Representatives yesterday afternoon. She was surrounded by a number of her longtime supporters at the Plaza de España. The Congresswoman said the political landscape in Washington has never been this bitter, and that's why she has built and maintained strong relationships with her colleagues. Bordallo has served as Guam's delegate for the past 15 years. She said her seniority in Congress has yielded real results for our community. Guam police are investigating a rash of vehicle burglaries in Jonia. The burglaries occurred late Sunday night, early Monday morning along Camp Wittick Road, where all the vehicles were parked. No suspects have been identified. GPD spokesperson Sergeant Paul Tabao reports that someone had rummaged through all 10 vehicles. It's unclear if anything was stolen. Residents are reminded to keep their vehicles locked when unattended. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
The Ray Gibson Show is brought to you by King's Restaurant, serving Guam favorites to families for over 40 years. King's Restaurant, always open, always local. Might also suppose that King's Restaurant might be a beneficiary of this idea of recreational marijuana. I don't know, but they tell me that when you smoke, you get really hungry.
Are they open 24 hours?
Yes, they are.
Well, there you go.
Is that true there, Jim, that when you smoke a marijuana, you might get hungry?
I'm with you, Ray. Wouldn't know since the
80s. I'm sorry.
That's not advice of counsel.
Well, I'm sorry. I go back to the olden days, back when they came in yellow cigarette paper. Remember, yeah. I got a buddy of mine I run with every once in a while, and he's got a tattoo of the Zigzag Man. And it's funny because, you know, some of the young runners, you know, they'll look at it and they have no idea who that is. What is that character? Who is that? Is that Popeye?
Hey, Ray, it's great. It's great to hear you back on the radio, and you've assembled a great team there. I'm pretty excited for you.
Thank you. I'm very excited. I absolutely just jump out of the bed in the morning because I don't know what it's going to be when I get in, but I know it's going to be good. You're right. We've got a great bunch of guys here.
It's working. It's working.
I'm glad.
And
I'm glad.
You're the interview yesterday with the governor on was great. I mean, you brought up all the points that I wanted to bring up. I mean, I'm definitely going to go with one of the public hearings today.
Are you going?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the first public hearing I've ever gone to in 20 years here.
What do you think it's going to be? What are you going to talk about? I mean, I recognize that you're an educator and the government punches your ticket every couple of weeks. But are you in line with his measure? Are you more in line with BJ's measure, or you think there's other?
I'm in line with BJ's measure. I'm just disappointed that as soon as this all transpired, the tax cuts, that his immediate and only option was this raise in tax and call it equalization tax. But take me for example. I'm basically lower middle income, and I did not benefit that greatly from the tax cut. I'm going to get hurt much worse locally by this 50% tax increase. It's not an equalization tax for me, no doubt, and I'm sure for a lot of others that are lower middle class and below. We need to, and I'm willing to sacrifice as a GovGuam employee because you need to examine alternatives first. And starting with the health insurance plan, I think that's a no-brainer. And these are the things we need to do, and I think that we're so inefficient we can put together loss in savings without raising taxes. So, he just seems so hell-bent on raising taxes, and I love the fact that you have a great relationship with him and you can stand up to him, because sometimes he calls in to some other stations and he just overpowers the host.
Well, and the personal relationship makes it a lot easier to do with him, as you point out. We were boys together, so and like boys together. I mean, we've argued about all kinds of things, and back in the 70s, we argued over whether disco was better or rock and roll was better, and now here we are, kind of grown ups, and this is the nature of the argument. But I appreciate you saying so. I enjoyed the conversation, and when he left, we were just as good a set of friends as we were in the very beginning. So I mean, that's the nature of it. We've got a problem and we've got to get through it. I was struggling yesterday with something during that conversation because I was looking for information from the Department of Labor. I still haven't found exactly what it was that I was looking for, and it was more so to the point that former Governor Gutierrez was trying to make about the size of government when he was the governor versus the size of government while Eddie is the governor. And obviously it has changed. It used to be a whole lot bigger. There were a bunch of different departments and agencies, limited term employees as a result of some pretty bad typhoons that we had back then. And so, yeah, Gutierrez's government was far larger by several thousand people than it is now. But the point of the numbers today now is to show the difference between the 11,680 Government of Guam employees, and I hate to make this one of those us versus them things, but there is a reality to the truth here that I need to get out. 11,680 Government of Guam employees, and the rest of the government is totals. I forget what it totals to. Private sector at 47,390, another 3,700 or so, 3,800 federal government employees that are out there. So that's the difference. There's about 50,000 other employees and 11,680. The weekly earnings in the government of Guam in the last year have gone up 4.5%. The weekly earnings in the private sector have only gone up by 2.53%. Now, I'll put a caveat on that because I am interested in the truth, but I throw the numbers out there. Private sector, non-supervisory. So, but those numbers have only gone up by 2.53%. So there's a difference in the income, and you're right. For the Government of Guam employees, this is going to sting. I guarantee it. But it will not sting as bad as an increase in the gross receipts taxes or an equalization in the BPT for private sector non-supervisory employees who have not seen their weekly earnings go up by 3%.
In terms of that 4% plus increase within Gov Guam, I mean, that's coming from, I believe, my guess, I have no idea. It's not coming from the teachers. It's not coming from your average.
Where's that? Well,
and waterworks worker. It's coming from, well, are they counting the raises that the senators were given and then taken back? But,
well, see, we don't get to know that because they don't drill deep into those numbers when it's the government of Guam. They just kind of add up all of the numbers at the bottom of the spreadsheet and divide it by the number of employees. But I hear what you're saying. So rank and file guys, maybe not 4.5%. Maybe the elites of the party, right?
Yeah, the 20 or 50 sergeants that got promoted at GPD or GFD. So, yeah, it's that 4% is being controlled by a minority, unfortunately.
Who's gonna watch the kids while you're in class?
I am on my way to class right now, running a little late today.
Oh, okay. Well, good luck with the hearing. There are 3 of them: 9:30, 2 o'clock, and 6 o'clock. I'll be watching the feed at 9:30 to see what shakes.
Right on. Keep up the great work, Ray.
No, I will. It's a whole lot easier when I got folks like you on the line to help me through and to discuss some of these issues, flesh out some parts of the issues that maybe I'm not as critical to look at. I appreciate hearing from you, Jim, and great to talk to you as well. 19 away from the top of the hour. Mark Baldyga is on line. Good morning, Mark. How you doing?
Hey, Ray. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm terrific. So glad that we were able to reach you. I know what a busy guy you are. Where did we find you? Are you actually on Guam?
I am. Yeah, I'm sitting in my living room looking at the ocean.
Oh, well, I'm looking at Kevin. So, just quick question: how's the hospitality game? How's things over at the beach? How's things on the duck ride? How's things in the showroom?
Yeah, everything is good overall. You know, it's a changing world, right? Korea's heavily on the rise. Japan is down. Markets quite different than it's been. Overall, things are good. We're obviously constantly re-engineering, reinventing ourselves every day. It seems, right?
Well, it's I don't know that you got in that business because it was going to be the same every day.
Yeah.
So we're constantly adapting, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. I had the governor on the program yesterday, and in between some of the conversation about what Trump did this and the legislature did that, we did have an opportunity to talk about some what ifs, and he said everything is on the table, and even casinos and medicinal marijuana. Now you've got an important job down there in Tumon and have held positions of authority in the Visitors Bureau, and I recall once a time when we were talking about casinos, you took a very active hand against casino gambling. The last time it came up for a big vote. Are your position still the same on that, or has that adapted with the times?
Actually, my position never really changed, and what I was against at that time wasn't casino gambling per se, but just the particular bill and how it was being presented. If you go back
Proposal
and check what I said, yeah. We've had a bit of experience. My original Japanese investor owned a casino in Las Vegas, for example, and so we've kind of I've not personally been involved in games, but I've been sort of around it. I lived in Vegas for a decade or so as well.
So, so you wouldn't have a problem if we came up with the right formula to operate casinos here?
Yeah, but it'd have to be a very specific formula, Ray. I mean, one of the key points going down the list is just figuring out a way to make sure that your gaming revenue is coming from visitors, really, for the most part, right? And finding ways to, I want to say, restrict local play, but just make sure that it's done in a way that doesn't damage, local residents, right?
Which is important. But
yeah, it's hard. It's hard to do that, right? You're a U.S. destination, so you can't restrict on the basis of citizenship or anything else. Some of the places have been successful by either limiting the number of days per year that people can go in, or putting high table limits, or having a membership scheme. There are ways to do it, actually, but I mean, that would be on the top of my list, would be to make sure that it's not just a free-for-all of low-budget, slots all over the place.
Right. Basically taking the game rooms out of the villages and putting them in a centralized location.
Yeah, that would be important. And another thing that would be important is making sure that the players involved and the people behind it were very, very credible. a number of years ago, one of the things I brought up was the idea the Nevada Gaming Control Board you can go through that investigation process, even if you don't choose to have a casino in Las Vegas, for example. So my Japanese investor, Izumi-san, did this 20 years ago. He owned what became the Hooters Casino, and it was about $1 million in fees to get through the Nevada Gaming Control Board investigation. They flew 20 people from Nevada to Japan to, sit there for 2 months and go through every record. Any expense of $5,000 or more you've ever had from any of your companies, for the last 10 years, you have to sit down and basically explain. So, having the right people behind it, and not that would be a way to make sure that there's no, I don't say mafia or yakuza, but anyway, so making sure that people who are credible have the licenses is just to require that they go through the Nevada Gaming Control Board investigation process. I don't see us conducting that level of investigation properly out here.
Do you suppose that that there's still a market for that kind of thing? I mean, would people fly to Guam specifically? I guess it would have to do with the nature of the casino, the kind of tables that we're going to have, the kind of games that we're going to be playing, the kind of limits. But I mean, are we a better or worse destination for gaming and casinos than, say, Macau?
Well, Macau's totally different, right? I mean, Guam is a resort destination. Macau is a gaming destination, and I think every gaming destination has its own nature, right? Saipan is a good example, right? Because it's right down the street, and Saipan's been pretty successful at attracting the whales, the really high net worth individuals, without it really kind of damaging the local play in a sense. They don't rely on local business. I think that's a key, right? Is not to design the economics around trying to rip off all the money from the locals. So if you could bring in a few whales, like this is what they're doing. They've had out of the top, I've been told from them that out of the top 10 players in the world, 8 of them have visited that casino. Those are the folks that drop $50 to $100 million. That's terrific. They come, they drop their money, they leave. They're having challenges collecting that money. So, I mean, the casino in Saipan at the moment is doing well on the top line, right? They're dropping money over there, but then you have to go chase the $100 million the guy lost, and you may not get it back. So I think it depends on the nature of who the consumer is or who the target customer is.
Would you worry as an operator of entertainment facilities and attractions in Tumon? Would you be worried about the nature of the competition and the idea that somebody that would normally be putting some money into a big sandcastle show with dinner and all of that might instead go and blow it all in a casino? Is that a concern?
I guess a little bit. There's competition now. Right?
Didn't sound like your answer. Didn't sound like it. Didn't even sound like a little bit. Well, I guess that'd be a thing.
Yeah, a little bit, right? But I mean, it's people spending money on different things. I think the customer who drops money in a casino is a little different than a regular, different mindset. I don't know if you've spent a lot of time in Macau, but they're there to gamble, right? It's a different. Different psyche. That customer is not necessarily my customer. Really a little concerned about subsidized entertainment, obviously, because casinos, tend to put things forward without worrying whether they earn money or not. It's they make their money in the casino floor. But I think there's the long story short is I think there's a space for gaming to be done on Guam if it's done professionally in a very specific manner. Yeah, then possibly, yeah.
Okay, all right.
I don't think I've changed that. That position's kind of been my position.
You remind me though that there were definitely some issues with Proposal A, and I think the Baldwin proposal at the time that felt bad, as opposed to let's see if there are the ways that we can diversify what we do here by bringing in people that might want to gamble. What about people that want to smoke dope? What if the governor's proposal on recreational marijuana turned into something?
You're talking to the wrong guy. In a sense, Ray, I'm, that's not my thing, and I don't really. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably just too old, right? So
no, I'm not asking you if you want to smoke. I'm asking you if.
No, but I mean, that whole thing is not really appealing to me. Personally, it feels like it would potentially denigrate the brand, or not necessarily move us in the direction we want to go as a destination to, sort of high image and quality and all. That's just my personal opinion. I'm not a big fan of it. How about that?
Right. Oh, and fine, we'll leave it there. 9 minutes away from 7 o'clock in the morning. Mark Baldyga from the Sandcastle and Baldyga Group with me on the line now. The last question I've got for you is where are the opportunities for big tourists? I was just coming out of Okinawa and looking at all of the people in the concourse, at the gate area, and a significant number of Japanese coming out of Nagoya, but also in and around the airport. Couldn't miss the Chinese dialect, this Chinese New Year, and everybody was traveling. And so I got me thinking about China and the China visa waiver program that I honestly haven't heard much about since I left the radio a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I don't hold out much hope for China visa waiver. I think most people who are in the industry feel the same way. The good news, though, is as of 2 years ago, a visa to China is good for 10 years, and it's reciprocal. So Chinese who get a visa to the U.S., and there are about almost 2 million a year of them, can travel to Guam for the next 10 years without a visa. 2 million a year times 10 years is 20 million people. So it's not unrealistic that within 7 to 10 years we'll have more than 20 million mainland Chinese who can hop on a flight, come to Guam, they'll already have the visa in their hand. And if we capture 4%, 5% of those, that's kind of what we capture for Japan and Korea. 5% of 20 million is a million. So I think it's quite possible to grow. I think it'll be a little bit of a hockey stick curve. It'll be relatively flat for 4 or 5 years. But I think, we just need direct air service from a China flight carrier and then a China-owned hotel. And I think there's a good chance we could do 500,000 or more Chinese within 10 years. I think it'll be a slow go getting there, but I don't think you need the visa waiver. The visa waiver attracts sort of the lower end customer anyway, right?
Yeah, the lower end in China spend always sounded like Japanese spend, so I don't know.
No. Go to Sanya Hainan Island and see 400 Chinese squatting in the corner smoking cigarettes.
that low end. That low end. All right. I like the way that sounds. It does sound like an interesting opportunity, and the way you say it, it sounds like we ought to just start making a couple of phone calls and finding somebody to buy one of the Israel hotels down there, or get some space at the airport. Is it as easy as that? Should we chase that opportunity?
Well, it's not as easy as that, but yeah, we should chase that opportunity for sure. I mean, absolutely. And I think we have been. I think, when I was running JVP, the governor, I met with the chairwoman of China International Travel Service, the monopoly China travel agent. She's quite keen on Guam. I think, JVP does a good job. They work hard. It's a hard road, but I think they're doing all of those things. It's just going slow going. Ray, I'm going to just throw my 2 cents on one subject you haven't raised. I haven't really been paying attention to the stuff you have raised, marijuana and so forth, but I got to tell you, the GRT increase is just going to really hit us hard. And I don't know how other businesses feel, or, the general consumer thinks probably 2% doesn't mean anything. But when you run a business, you're lucky to bring 10, 15% to the bottom line. Then you pay debt to the bank, and what's left maybe 5, 6%. So when you have, 6% profit left, and you take 2%, is basically taking 30, 40% of your cash available and ripping it out. And it takes away the ability to give raises. It takes away the ability to grow the business. It's just really, really tough.
Well, I didn't ask about that because I figured that was going to be the answer. Times are tough enough as it is, and for us to be able to it's hard to pass along that additional cost to some of the travelers that you've got and the clients that you deal with. But it's not the only idea that has been floated.
Passing it along would be okay, believe it or not. The problem is, as a GRT, the businesses have to pay. If it's a sales tax, it's okay. You add it on, and the customer kind of has to deal with it. But as the GRT, the way the tourism business works, we give rates from April 1st to March 31st. So our rates are already set until 2019. Nothing we can do about them. We can't raise them, can't pass them on to anybody except absorb them. So,
well, they're talking about different kinds of taxes as well. An exit tax. Are you in favor of something like that? I'm personally not in favor of anything that makes Guam less attractive, more expensive to any tourists.
No, that's true. That's true. Although I suppose if it's built into the problem with the airline prices, I was going to say built into the airline ticket, but our rates are basically the same as Hawaii. There's some challenges for sure. Anyway, nice talking to you, Ray. I haven't talked to you for a long time.
I know. We'll get together sometime soon. I'd be looking forward to it because there with you are always different avenues for the conversation. And since I've got just another minute or so that I can spend with you, real quick, what opportunity are we missing? What stone have we not turned over to your satisfaction yet? What do you think is out there for the serial entrepreneurs, the guys that want to stay in the hospitality business? What are we missing? What are you looking at these days? What's your crystal ball say?
Yeah, it's really centric on Korea, obviously, to a great extent. Independent travelers, I think 60-70% of Koreans are renting cars and driving around.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that supports the independent traveler, and obviously, online is the biggest space, I would say. And it's the space that we're pushing forward in the hardest. But it's not easy. It's probably 10 times harder than it was a decade ago to make $1. But any entrepreneurs, they'll find a way, right? That's the nature of it.
Well, I hope so, because it seems to me that, and I don't know what's in everybody's bank book and everybody's passbook account, but at least some of the research that I've seen says that some of these travelers aren't that far off from the average Japanese spend. We're just maybe not giving them enough opportunities to open their wallets and take out their credit cards.
Yeah, they definitely are spending as much as the Japanese in different categories.
Yeah,
the Japanese do. There's money to be had. It's not so easy, right? It's not easy to figure out, right? If I figured it out, I'd be. I was going to say living on a beach somewhere, but I guess I am.
That's why we're still here, isn't it? Because it's a fun game. I'll talk to you pretty soon, Mark Baldyga.
All right, Ray, thanks.
No, it's always a pleasure. I always learn something new when I talk to the guy from obviously the Sandcastle. And if you have not yet ridden the Duck, can I just tell you what a great experience that is? We did that.
That's the car that looks like a boat, right?
Yeah,
the big boat-looking thing.
So, but I don't know. My recollection, I had a good time. Because the real characters driving the bus, and there's you go on this thing and you're there with everybody. I had a great time, but at the time Mason was at exactly the wrong age for that. There was nothing about it. I'm not gonna tell you. There was nothing about it for him that was cool. Miami had a great time. He had a great time. I had a great time. There's my Mason in the back, hoping that none of his friends saw him. It's one of those things. Sorry, Mark. It is. Locals and military. Call Baldyga Corporation, call the Sandcastle, find out about local discounts, military discounts that they'd love to pass along to you. Do I have to take the break? I don't have to take a break. I should tell you about traffic. Well, I might have a map open here so I can see what's going on outside. I don't have any windows in this side of the building, but I've got all of the technology I need to be able to say, hey, looks like it's slowing down in a couple of places, into and out of. It looks like Potts Junction and the front gate of Anderson Air Force Base. What do we got? In and out of Chigo, around Payless KFC, those areas, up and down Tumon. Nothing major to worry about just yet. But traffic's beginning to pick up in some of the usual locations with some of the usual drivers like you. Hey, look at all the people watching the show today. Thanks. Great to have you along on thepoint.gu and our Facebook page. That's the way that you can watch the show. Appreciate you listening on 93.3. We are KUSG. Gutnya. We are known by, that's how they know us over at the FCC. Everybody around here just calling us The Point, if you will. Fox News Live is coming up next. Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post with all the big stories. That's ahead right here.
They're on a mission to make it the last school shooting. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. About 100 survivors of last week's mass school shooting in Florida are on buses to Tallahassee.
Students from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High in Broward County will head to Florida's state capitol for Wednesday marches and rallies over gun laws and school safety.
I'm terrified to go back to school. I want change to happen so badly. I don't want to feel unsafe in my own school.
Sadly, we have to stand up and take charge because nobody else will. Because our
elected officials certainly won't.
And the school remains shut for now. Staff will be asked to return this Friday. Students and parents will be allowed to come to school Sunday for a voluntary support session. Classes might resume next Tuesday. In Miami, Eben Brown, Fox News.
And minutes ago at the White House, President Trump announced,
I signed a memorandum directing the Attorney General to propose regulations to ban all devices that turn legal weapons into machine guns.
like bump stocks that increases semi-automatic rifles' rate of fire. Meantime, 2 gun control laws in California are being allowed to stand. Here's Jared Halpert in D.C.
The Supreme Court will not consider overturning a California law allowing a 10-day waiting period to buy a gun, even in cases the purchaser already owns a firearm and a background check is completed sooner. Without comment, the justices left in place a ruling by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals upholding the law. In a lengthy dissent, Justice Clarence Thomas argued the court should have taken up that case, writing the Second Amendment cannot be singled out for special and unfavorable treatment. Chris.
Jared, thanks. A lawyer based in London has pled guilty of lying to federal investigators here. Alex van der Zwaan admits he lied to special counsel Robert Mueller's investigators about his interactions with Rick Gates. He's a former Trump campaign aide who was indicted last year. On Wall Street, at the closing bell, the Dow down 257 points. Fox News, fair and balanced.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Time starts now. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat? Where can you find the answers to these questions?
Car crashes are one of the leading killers of U.S. children. Many of those deaths could be prevented by making sure that kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Well, there's some really great and some really not that great weather happening around the country.
While the East Coast is seeing record warmth during the next couple of days, the West is seeing continued cold conditions and snow at low elevations. In the center of the country where the cold and warm air meet, a slow-moving frontal boundary is producing heavy rain and flooding from Michigan to North Texas. As much as 7 inches of rain is likely. On the cold side of the storm, ice storm warnings have been issued along the Kansas-Missouri border. Adam Klotz, Fox News.
It's confirmed that Tennessee Republican John Duncan Jr. is under investigation by the House Ethics Committee. The committee actually announcing that the investigation has been extended, but not what it's about. A Knoxville website reported in July that he paid his son $300,000 for campaign work after the son, John Duncan III, resigned as a Knox County trustee and pled guilty of official misconduct in 2013. Congressman Duncan was elected in 1988 to fill a seat left vacant by his father's death. He's already announced he will not seek re-election. It happens from time to time. Word spreads that a celebrity's dead. People get sad, and then you find out it's just a hoax.
Sylvester Stallone speaking out after rumors of his death circulated on social media. The Rocky star tweeting, "Please ignore the stupidity, alive and well and happy and healthy, still punching." The 71-year-old batting down the death hoax after someone on social media said he passed away from prostate cancer. The rumor sparking a flood of rest in peace tweets from devastated fans. Stallone's younger brother Frank also slamming the rumor, saying it upset their 96-year-old mother, making him doubly upset. Carly Shimkus, Fox News.
Penalties stand against the University of Louisville's men's basketball team for setting up recruits with female escorts. The team's appeal with the NCAA is denied, so 123 wins, including the 2013 championship, officially don't count. Millions of dollars in revenue from the 2012 to 15 NCAA tournaments will have to be returned. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News Radio.
This KFC chicken is great. Shrimp. Hey, who are you calling shrimp? KFC's new shrimp burger. It's great.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. Try our new shrimp burger and all our seafood items available this season. KFC Food Kelequin, breaded shrimp, seafood salad, and of course, we can't forget your one and only favorite KFC original recipe chicken.
All right. I need to try KFC's new shrimp burger. Good, because you really are shrimp. Hey, A 5-7. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
$7 meal from Circle K. Get your choice of 2 Nathan's all-beef hot dogs or a half-pound Nathan's all-beef footlong, a big wrap bag of chips, and any size Polar Pop. That's a giant deal of a meal, all for only $7. Circle K. Take it easy.
As we journey through the new year, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 7 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Thousands of GovGuam workers got a memo from Governor Eddie Calvo yesterday encouraging them to turn out today and voice their opinions on 2 different measures aimed at addressing the government's current fiscal crisis. The governor has proposed a 50% increase in the business privilege tax from 4% to 6% for about 2 years. Bill 245 would maintain government stability, said the governor, while also providing funds for Guam Memorial Hospital and the Department of Education. Speaker Benjamin Cruz's Bill 244, meanwhile, proposes a government-wide temporary pay raise rollback and increasing the BPT 25% from 4% to 5% for about 2 years as well. In addition, it would assess a 10% reduction in the budgets of the Office of the Governor and the Legislature, as well as the Office of Finance and Budget. GovGuam is currently facing a roughly $67 million revenue shortfall in the wake of the federal tax reform legislation passed by Congress in December. The public hearings today slated for 9:30 this morning, 2 this afternoon, and 6 this evening at the Guam Legislature. Guam Delegate Madeline Bordallo formally announcing her bid for a 9th term as Guam's delegate to the U.S. House of Representatives yesterday afternoon. She was surrounded by a number of her longtime supporters at the Plaza de España, where she said the political landscape in Washington has never been this bitter, and that's why she has built and maintained strong relationships with her colleagues. The Congresswoman has served as Guam's delegate for the past 15 years. She said her seniority in Congress has yielded real results for the community. Bordallo is facing a challenge from within her own party. Democrat Guam Senator Michael San Nicolas has announced his intention to seek the delegate seat. Other candidates are rumored to be waiting in the wings. Bordallo pointed out that she's had competition before, saying she welcomes competitors and wishes them all well. Among the fellow Democrats who were present for Bordallo's declaration yesterday were Guam Senator and gubernatorial candidate Frank Uggan Jr. and his running mate Alicia Limtiaco, Lieutenant gubernatorial candidate Fred Bordallo, and Dededo Mayor Melissa Savaras and Santa Rita Mayor Dale Alvarez. We'll have more news after this.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
News time at the point is 11 minutes past 7 a.m. Police investigation is underway after 2 men were transported to the hospital for stab wounds following a disturbance in Barrigada Monday night. Guam Police spokesperson Sergeant Paul Tapao says police responded to Song's apartments in Barrigada about 10 p.m. Monday night and found 2 men who were suffering from stab wounds. Tapao said there was a disturbance in the apartment complex. Details not available. Police are asking anyone who may have witnessed the incident or have information about the stabbings to call Guam Crime Stoppers at 477-HELP. Melanie Brennan has been named Chief Probation Officer for the Judiciary of Guam. Melanie has taken a leadership role and has made significant contributions to the current juvenile justice system, said Chief Justice Catherine Merriman in making the announcement. Since 2011, Brennan has served as Deputy Chief Probation Officer for the Judiciary. She's been employed by GovGuam for the past 32 years, starting out as a social worker with Child Protective Services back in 1986. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Weather now with Ray.
Well, congratulations, first Melanie. She's been there forever.
You know her.
I know her well. What took him so long? That woman's been running the place anyway all these years. A high surf advisory in effect until 6 o'clock Thursday along north-facing reefs. You can expect a higher risk of rip currents until Tuesday morning along those north-facing reefs. Be very, very careful if you're going out there. Plenty of other beaches to go to. It's pretty to look at up there, but dangerous, dangerous waters. Today, partly cloudy skies and isolated light showers. Winds east to about 20 miles an hour. Highs today about 89 degrees. More the same tonight. Partly cloudy skies, isolated showers. Winds out of the northeast up to 20 miles an hour. And overnight lows cool 76 degrees. While I've got a little bit of music playing in the background, even though it's not the traffic music, I do want to let you know I got my eyes on the maps here. Northbound Marine Corps Drive, right up to the intersection of Route 3, starting to slow down up there by GRMC, Kevin's old stomping grounds. Route 16 on the Malakuti side of the street. Looks like we've got a little build-up there. And around Automasters, people coming out of Maina. I'm not sure if there's a whole lot of folks headed towards Marine Corps Drive just to go north or south, or maybe there's a big deal going on at the governor's office. Maybe everybody's going to go and pick up their scripts for today's public hearing. I don't know, but there seems to be some traffic down there. 7:13 news, weather, and traffic together right here on The Point.
The car of the year is here. The all-new 2018 Honda Accord, only at Triple J. Total redesign inside and out. It's no surprise that it's Car and Driver's 10 Best a record 32 times. With all-new features like the Honda Sensing Standard, Bluetooth and reverse camera, an all-new touchscreen setup, and an all-new 1.5 and 2.0 turbo engines. Best in its class and equipped with Honda's first 10-speed transmission. You'll have to test drive for yourself or take a virtual 360-degree tour of the Accord online at triplejguam.com. Triple J, customers first.
Through incredible diligence and collaboration between all of our airport partners, AB Wonpat International Airport has earned a 100% perfect score for meeting and exceeding FAA standards in safety and best practices for 2 years in a row. We are proud to be the first and only airport in the Pacific region to achieve this. Your airport familia works hard to keep you safe. Guam International Airport Authority, celebrating 42 with you.
special things only come around once a year, and it's time for fish fans to celebrate the return of Wendy's Cod Filet Sandwich. Wendy's uses the gold standard for fried fish, wild-caught Northern Pacific cod, breaded with panko crumbs to a light crisp. Add a new creamy dill tartar sauce and crisp pickles, and you've got the fish sandwich many say is the best of the bunch. Get yours today at Wendy's, located in Tamuning, Barragata, Agana, Dededo, and Naval Base. Wendy's Cod Filet. Now that's better.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
When the power goes out on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morrico Equipment, LLC on Epal Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946. Don't forget to click on to morricoequipment.com.
The Ray Gibson Show, your new News Talk headquarters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
7:16. Hello, time to find out what's happening in the markets. Yeah, we can do some of that in a second. First, I want to look at some currency. Actually, first I want to go through a couple of thoughts that are in my head, because otherwise I'll forget them, and they're all important. We take requests here at the radio station, not like songs and birthdays and shout-outs and things like that, but from time to time, if you think that there might be something interesting to talk about, listen, I'm one of the easiest guys on Guam to get a hold of. Find me on Facebook, Ray Gibson Show at gmail.com. Practically everybody has got my WhatsApp, so hit me up. I got a note here. It says, Madeline is in town. You think? Have you seen the front page of the newspaper? She's on both of them. And you're right, surrounded by the, I like the way Kevin puts it, surrounded by longtime supporters. And their people go back to, there's old Ricky Kratz. And so he says, my friend says, maybe you should find a way to get the Congresswoman into the studio of the radio station. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I'll make the usual inquiries, as the man says. We do an online poll at thepoint.gu. This is for our entertainment, not yours. The question was, has Dennis Rodriguez jumped the shark? You know, when I looked at this yesterday, the numbers were all the way over that said, the change in his manner will cost him votes. That was the majority position. Somebody in his office yesterday, late last night, actually starting, I don't know, about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Ran a bot?
Yeah, well, it's one of those bots that changes the IP address. So, you know, somebody's got the technology. So now the majority answer is no, he's fighting for the integrity of GMH. He might be fighting alone. It's him and what is it, 4
and his
other
running
people?
mate. Who's his running mate?
Cruz somebody, but it's not BJ. It's not BJ. But anyway, so it's him and 3 other people over at the legislature that are even interested in this probe. So as far as I'm concerned, the probe resolution is dead. New question for you this morning. Go to thepoint.gu and fill out your thoughts. Would you support recreational marijuana as a way to grow GovGuam revenue? Your choices. Are you high? No way. We've got enough problems. Sure, this thing will be good for tourism. Those are the answers. Run by there and click whichever you feel is the one that reflects your feelings on this. Yeah, this will be good for tourism, or no way. We've got enough problems, and I think one of the problems, and my cursory examination has always been the problems that we've got with alcohol. I don't know. Anybody knows me knows I like my beer, but I think we've got just far too many places that are too close together that sell this beer at all hours of the day and night. Start limiting access to it, and maybe we'll start to see some of the alcohol-related issues that we've got around here begin to fall off. 7:18 in the morning, and we got to do the extra point with Jerry Roberts. Somebody asked me the other day, said, I really like some of the things that he says. Is there a way that I can get a transcript of the program? Yes, you can. For a copy of the extra point, either write down everything Jerry says or go to GuamTraining.com, click on XP for extra point, then download the program number. I think yesterday was 12. I think today is going to be 13. Here's Jerry Roberts now in the extra point.
Most people who are looking to change jobs overlook a great place to apply. I'm Jerry Roberts, and I'll tell you where that is next on the extra point. There comes a time in almost everybody's career when they switch jobs and organizations, maybe even switch career fields. It can be an uncertain, nervous, often frustrating time. We're leaving the known for the unknown, leaving people we've grown to like and care about. We're climbing out of our comfort zone. But do we have to leave? I've seen a lot of people take new jobs, and to my knowledge, most never sat down with their existing employer to see if there were any options to stay. Would there be opportunities in the next year or two? They just moved on. Okay, so how do you do this? I want to go to the general manager, or if it's a smaller company, the owner, and say something like this. I love working here. The organization, the leadership are top-notch in my book. My supervisor, Cindy, is really on top of things. I just have a question. You see, I think I can bring a lot more value to you. And if anybody is going to know where you need talent, somebody who will work smart and hard, it's got to be you. So my question, how do I get on your radar screen? Because I'm looking to move up. The good news is, just by making that little speech, you're now on their radar screen. But can you back it up with action? Are you ready to kick it into high gear if they say okay? Big companies are making plans all the time to expand and add to their operations. Entrepreneurs want to start new businesses. Large companies, small companies, all companies have one thing in common. They need talent. I had a friend who was thinking of leaving his job for another one with a nice increase in salary and was just about to accept the offer when the owner of his company casually mentioned that they were finalizing investment into a completely new business and would he have any interest in being a part of the management team. A week later, the conversation moved into him being one of the leaders of the project at a greater salary than the other company had offered. Why didn't he know anything about this? He'd never asked. The project was 8 months in the making when the boss mentioned it. Okay, maybe there are no big opportunities coming up in your organization, but maybe there are. Isn't it better to know for sure before you decide to walk away from it? That's the extra point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, I'm Jerry Roberts.
Thank you very much, Jerry Roberts. And as we say, go to his website and download the program, or sorry, download the text of it. You can go to GuamTraining.com. And the people, especially in the morning, can't remember all kinds of stuff. The point.gu might be easier for you to remember. Just go to On Air, and Jerry Roberts' profile is the first name that pops up, and click on that, and that'll take you to his website. 7:21 in the morning, 888-8255. Got calls before Governor Carl T.C. Gutierrez joins us on the radio here in just a few moments. Be right back.
As we journey through the new year, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
Is there traffic this morning? Well, let me see. It's a Wednesday, 7:22, and things are going to start getting activated in all of the usual places. Looking at the traffic gizmo right now, don't see too many places where you're going to run into any serious trouble. I told you earlier about some backup issues headed towards Adelup. Looks like that's still in effect right now. But otherwise, yeah, you'll see some cars out there, but I'm not seeing anything that's going to prevent you from getting where you need to be anytime very, very soon. Get in early early and make a plan to get out early so you can attend one of the public hearings that is going to be coming up and taking place. Time for fish fans to celebrate the return of Wendy's cod filet sandwich. Wendy's and their wild-caught North Pacific cod breaded with panko crumbs into a light crisp, drizzled in a brand new creamy dill tartar sauce and crisp pickles. You're going to want to try this. Wendy's cod filet. Now that's better.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
This KFC chicken is great. Shrimp. Hey, who are you calling shrimp? KFC's new shrimp burger. It's great.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. Try our new shrimp burger and all our seafood items available this season. KFC Food Kelequin, breaded shrimp, seafood salad, and of course, we can't forget your one and only favorite KFC original recipe chicken.
All right. I need to try KFC's new shrimp burger. Good, because you really are shrimp. Hey, a 5-7.
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Time 7:25 now in the program. Governor Carl T.C. Gutierrez joining us, and you're going to want to watch this because it's always fun to listen to the radio, even more fun to watch. And you'll be able to do that at thepoint.gu. Little screen will open up right there on the site. If you're already on Facebook, then go to point.gu on the Facebook page and link up there. As soon as the conversation is done, as soon as the program is done, we'll see if we can make this available on YouTube as we do with all of the programs. Any screen, anytime. That ought to be the way that you get to us. Holdover conversation from the last hour on medicinal marijuana. Got Ryan on the line. What do you think, buddy?
Hey, Ray. How you doing? Good morning.
Good morning. Good to hear from you. What are your thoughts when it comes to recreational marijuana? You think this thing is going to be all that, or is it just going to add to the other problem that we got with ice and alcohol?
You know what? Here's the thing. First off, let me just say, your show makes me think, just Governor Eddie Calvo talking about the marijuana and also casino gaming. That made me think. And then I was just tuning in. I caught the tail end of your conversation with Mr. Baldyga, and he made me think. So first off, your show is good. I love it. And now I'm gonna let people think on what I have to say.
Sure.
As far as for your question, I would say let's get over the hoop of medicinal marijuana first before we can even approach that idea. Only because from where I'm standing, I believe public health has not set up any regulations just yet, and basically they're passing the buck on, to somebody else pretty much to do it. So as far as medicinal marijuana, let's get over that hoop first before we even approach the recreational part. Now, the reason why I call it is because of this hotel gaming, casino gaming. Now, that's a key word, hotel casino gaming. All right. Let's get away from casino gambling, because when you think casino gambling, you only think of, the 24-hour casino that people are pretty much used to with the Liberation Day Parade. That is out of the question. No regulation, and where the money goes, it's anybody's guess. But let's talk about conducting hotel casino gaming. That is the key word, hotel. Now, the only way you can conduct casino gaming is in a 200-room hotel. I'm like in a gallery right now. That's why you're hearing the bells in the background. But yeah,
it's good. Go to church, Ehu. Be a good boy. Go to church.
Isn't it ironic? I'm talking about gaming and the church bell starts ringing. Well, here's the thing. Now, if conducted right, just like what Mr. Baldyga said, if conducted right, Guam can be a premier destination. I know that back in '96, Ray, I was a part of a group that conducted an initiative calling for just that, which was the hotel casino gaming. Now, how you get a license is you have to have a 200-room hotel. Okay, and then this would also spur economic activity with outside investors, new monies coming in by a person that may want to conduct the gaming, but this person would have to build up a 200-room hotel, and the facilities, which would be X amount of footage as far as the casino gaming is concerned. Now, I believe back then the initiative called for a licensing fee of $500,000 to have a casino license. Of course, there was a study that was done back then, and they said that if Guam, in the first 5 years, Guam can look at anywhere from making $1 billion because we are so close with the biggest gambling community from Asia. And of course, we're U.S. territory and everything, and so we'll be protected with all the rights.
So you want to continue that conversation? You think the time is ripe to continue the conversation? Maybe this time put together something without so much outside influence. In fact, maybe that's where I'll take the conversation with Governor Gutierrez when we begin, because I think that's an interesting side chat. I remember there were conversations that he had, and initially I thought he was all in on the game, and then there was a conversation with Baldwin, and you pulled your support from that unbelievably quick. And we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. Yeah. Ryan, I got to break away. I got the headlines here.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Roy.
Okay, they're waiting for you in church.
Okay.
See you pretty soon. That's the bottom of the hour. Kevin Kerrigan with a look at this morning's headlines from the Guam Daily Post.
Day and good morning, Guam. Here's a look at some of the headlines in the Guam Daily Post. The legislature's override Monday of the governor's veto of a health insurance bill has drawn different reactions from two of the free health insurance providers that provide the coverage for employees and retirees of GovGuam. Calvo Select Care Plan Administrator Frank Campillo said he is flabbergasted by the override, saying lawmakers reversed their views on multiple choice for health insurance after fighting against a single provider agreement for many years. On the other hand, Moylan's Net Care Plan Administrator Jerry Crisostomo telling the Post that he thinks the override of the bill makes a lot of sense. Crisostomo said he appreciates the governor's effort to give GovGuam employees choices, but given the financial challenges facing the government now, he observed that the savings would be significant if they opt to go with one carrier. A Department of Corrections detainee thought he was a free man when he was released from prison over the weekend, but quickly learned that was a mistake. DepCorps Director Tony Lamarena explaining that the confusion stemmed from two separate criminal cases involving inmate Ben Espinoza. DOC received a release order for Espinoza in one of those cases, but he was still serving time in the other. Lamarena said an internal affairs investigation is underway to figure out what caused the accidental release. Espinoza was picked up shortly after he was released and is now behind bars again. The Chinese Lunar New Year began last Friday, and Chinese visitors are making their way to Guam for the festivities. Mainland Chinese visitors are flying into Guam on United and other airlines from Shanghai, Hong Kong, and elsewhere. GVB President Nate DeKnight says the February bookings from mainland China on the airlines have been sold out. They're anticipating more than 2,000 Chinese visitors for the month of February alone. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Special things only come around once a year, and it's time for fish fans to celebrate the return of Wendy's Cod Filet Sandwich. Wendy's uses the gold standard for fried fish, wild-caught Northern Pacific cod, breaded with panko crumbs to a light crisp. Add a new creamy dill tartar sauce and crisp pickles, and you've got the fish sandwich many say is the best of the bunch. Get yours today at Wendy's, located in Tamuning, Veragata, Hagåtña, Dededo, and Naval Base. Wendy's Cod Filet. Now that's better.
Through incredible diligence and collaboration between all of our airport partners, AB1 Pat International Airport has earned a 100% perfect score for meeting and exceeding FAA standards in safety and best practices for 2 years in a row. We are proud to be the first and only airport in the Pacific region to achieve this. Your airport familia works hard to keep you safe. Guam International Airport Authority, celebrating 42 with you.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
Another look at traffic, and a couple of minutes ago I said nothing out there worth telling you about. Well, I looked at the maps again, and that has changed. Route 1 and Route 3 in both directions. Marine Corps Drive over by the Fatima Mobile is starting to see some kind of backup. Over by Malakuti's office on that side of the street, things slowing down in Route 16. Over by the old Automasters on the way into Adelup, that is slowing down as well. And that I call it the St. Anthony ramp, coming over by the Sagwa and Maniago up there, up towards St. Anthony School. A little bit of a backup there. Everything else, you're starting to see traffic pick up, but nothing major that is moving right now. What's that? What did you want me to do? Another break? I can do that. I can do that. So the producer's telling me do this before I do that. Okay, here's this.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
Each day, a little bit more adventurous than the one that came prior. Governor Eddie Baza-Calvo came into the studio yesterday. We had a rollicking time talking about casinos and maybe medicinal marijuana and talking about numbers in the government. And then all of a sudden, the phone rang, and it was former governor. I still call you Gov. Carl T.C. Gutierrez. And before the conversation was done, because I know that there were a couple of points that you wanted to get to, and I thought, rather than have you guys get into a toe-to-toe debate on the radio, maybe best if you just came to the radio station. So welcome aboard.
Well, thank you. First of all, congratulations on a very successful station and very successful show.
You know what? I knew I was on the right track the first time we played the announcement with you and cousin Fred saying so. So thank you very much for your early support. As I've mentioned in the past, there is a relation between Uncle Carl and I. I'm legally allowed to call him Uncle Carl because Auntie Jerry is literally my auntie. She's a Martinez. I'm a Martinez.
That's correct.
Okay, so
Very
there's that, and so I think that's as much of a disclaimer as I need to get into as we start the conversation. Now, let me just make sure that everybody can see. I've got a bunch of different of what we call sets that I can use that will put different people on the actual cameras, and I think maybe this is the one I'm going to use for everybody that's watching. As I said, welcome to the program. Excuse the mess. We'll start where we were yesterday. You had called and taken issues with the numbers that Eddie was using about bringing down the size of government and talking about maybe some of the old days when you were still the governor and how big it was then.
Yes, many people told me that went or listened to the State of our Island address, and they said, the governor was saying that he reduced the government size from 16,000 employees to 11,000. And I didn't, do anything with that until I heard him yesterday on the radio himself saying it. And I said, wait a minute, And then he started to get into this limited term appointment. So I knew they were targeting me. And I said, why are they doing that? I mean, you can propagandize any way you want, but obviously you're targeting me. You know that during the time I was governor, we had limited term personnel.
But explain to everybody why we needed that.
Yes, and that's what I wanted to clarify here. Back then, we had Typhoon Paka, we had many disasters, but particularly from Typhoon Paka, the FEMA personnel asked me and funded the limited term people of about 600 to place them all over the government that does cleanup, like public works, parks and rec, agriculture, everywhere that they were needed. And so they were paying for it. We get reimbursed for that. And I had pared that down subsequently to about 300. And the legislature, for whatever reason they wanted, everybody wanted to be governor, and they went in there and decided to pass a law that gave them less than 2 weeks, kicked out 300 and some limited term appointments. And then that's money that FEMA was paying. They all went to welfare rolls, food stamps after that. But it was not for any good reason other than for politics. And but sure, the number of personnel in the government went up. But never have I ever heard that, I'd say 12,000 employees more. And to say 16, there's never been one time that it ever got behind maybe 12,500.
You've got documentation with you. You
yes.
actually went out and never mind the fact that he's probably got one of the sharpest memories. I'm often fond of saying that Governor Gutierrez remembers the name of the guy that stole his pencil in first grade, but he remembers things very well. But even in the case where his memory might be a little bit fuzzy, there's still adequate documentation that shows, going back to when you were the governor, what kind of numbers we had.
That's correct. And when Governor Calvo came in on 2011, there was 11,000 employees. Now there's 11,760 employees, and that includes the autonomous agencies. But it never went up to 16,000, and then he reduced it by 5,000. You know Joseph Goebbels, right? And even Vladimir Lenin. They say you tell a lie often enough and it becomes the truth. And I didn't want it to go on any further. Shades of 2010.
Right.
And so I wanted to really clarify it yesterday, and I'm glad he stayed on the air. Because I want to challenge them. I mean, you can't continue to do this. Just spin numbers out there, and hopefully the people are brainwashed enough to believe it.
Well, the question that I've got for you this morning is, why would it make any difference? He's not running for anything.
That's correct. And when he zeroed in on LTAs, I knew that Ray Tenorio is thinking that we're the ones he's going to face in the general election, which gave me
you got to have a degree of confidence if you're going to be running for the job. Why are you running for the job? Why can't you just be the elder statesman and have fundraisers up at the house and just be done with it? Why are you still running?
I wanted to do that. I didn't want to run in 2014. I told you that. I didn't want to run in 2014. Nobody wanted to run. And then all of the hierarchy from the Democratic Party, beginning with the Speaker, beginning with all the Democratic senators, accosted me in June the 12th, asking me to please run. It'd be embarrassing for the Democrats not to have a challenge for Calvo. And I said, I'm not going to run. And then they met me, and finally, on the third time they met, I think it was the 19th of June.
Yeah.
They said, Governor, you need to do it. It's embarrassing, and that we're going to lose the majority. Calvo is going to take his war chest and put it all on the Republican candidates for senator. So I kind of asked Auntie Jerry, and I said, what do you think? He says, well, maybe you should take one for the team. And I did. And then, Gary Gumatauto and I came together like 2 days before they closed out running for governor on June 28th. So how, if I really was running for governor to win other than to take the majority in the legislature, and let me tell you the end result of that. The last 6 Democrats in the 2014 election were the same 6 that fell out on the 2016. And so my running for governor and rallying the troops kept them in there. But then suddenly there's no gratitude for that. And then they say, why you keep running? I'm running now, Ray, because I've looked at all the possible candidates, and they don't carry that spirit of Guam. I think that we have lost the soul of Guam.
Well, you're talking about Democrat candidates.
Democrat candidates. Yeah. I'm talking about Democrat candidates too. Nobody really ever stepped up the plate to gather the people or stand for the people.
That was a criticism that goes back a couple of years as well. And when you start thinking about politics on Guam, it's like anywhere else. There needs to be some kind of a brand. It's easy to look at the newspaper. There's your former lieutenant governor, the front page of the newspaper, surrounded by by people that go back to the original Ricky Bordallo Democrat days. And there are people that for which there are, and I know all of them, that are, true blue Carl Gutierrez guys, Gutierrez-crats, I called them, right? And there are Calvo-crats, etc. But when you start looking at some of the guys that should have ridden up on your coattails and built their machine, their gubernatorial machine, I haven't seen it. Yeah, I haven't seen it. Uncle Robert's the closest thing that it's come, but as you know, he's always had a problem closing at the general.
Yes, but the thing about it is it's the interaction with the people. Okay, the Democrats are the grassroots, so to speak. Okay, in essence, in the beginning here during the politics, United States style, 80% of the people of Guam were Democrats. Simply because there were very few businessmen, very few of those conservative people. Everybody wanted to pave my road, give me this, give me a job, all that stuff, right? Because the only thing we had then was jobs for the people, just a wage kind of a job. Yeah. There was no economic system going here in Guam in the private sector. So there's no one here to be able to hire them. So the government became the hiring. So generally, the Democrats kept winning and winning and winning until we kept building up the business community. Tourism came in, and then suddenly you had the radio stations, and then you had, so they carried the conservative voice. People became more inculcated in their minds of what real government should be run.
Well, you start talking about conservative voices. Have you heard Mike Nicholas and B.J. Cruz?
Yes.
Two of the most staunchest Democrats that we got rolling around here. They sound like fiscal Republican conservatives.
Exactly. And if you're looking at me directly, I was a first registered Republican. Under Kurt Moylan had me sign. But because on the 1970 election for the first elected governor, my sister Evelyn asked me if I could help Ricky Bordallo get elected with Uncle Dick Tightno. So I started helping out in the logistics, out in the field. And in the course of going out there and trying to get votes for Bordallo Tightno, I met a lot of people. And then 2 years later, 1972, I said, man, let me try my hand at this. I met enough people. So I already had the brand of Democrat, but I never changed my fiscal conservative stance. I'm center-leaning right. That's the way I am. In 1984, 85, Phil Flores and Bob Jones and Shimizu, all those guys in the Chamber of Commerce came down when I was speaker and handed me a congratulatory as the most fiscally responsible and pro-business legislature in the history, and no one's ever gotten that. And I was the speaker.
Interesting.
When I removed the wholesale tax, that was our baby, me and Frank Santos.
Make sure that is underscored, because there is a Democrat now that is running for office who had proposed the return to a GRT on the wholesale taxes.
Who's that?
So Dennis.
Yeah, well, he, of course, Dennis wants to continue the Calvo administration. If you read what he said, he's running for governor.
It's not the answer I was looking for, but it's the one that was in my head.
Yeah. So what's the difference? That's needless to say.
So first blood, I suppose, drawn in the conversation. We talk about and you brought up the numbers for the economy and where we need to be headed fiscally around here. And I don't want to underscore too much, but I know the Post asked the question the other day of a number of candidates, I believe yourself included, and the answer was no to a tax increase.
And I was the most terse. There's no sense in trying to spin around any goody things they want to say. I said no, and let's find a different system where let it run on its own. Like maybe explore the sales. Talking about the sales tax.
I remember once you scolded Uncle Jim about
exactly
talking about the sales tax. He didn't want it.
Exactly.
What's different now?
But we change. Because this thing keeps coming up every year. They did it 10 years ago, and all those guys got thrown out after 1 year. So you live and learn. And that maybe something needs to be done to be able to equalize the taxing of our system, and maybe a sales tax well monitored, and certain things exempt should maybe be explored even further, and make sure that revenue and taxation goes out there and equally administers the Internal Revenue Code that's there now.
Right.
They're not putting up enough investigators there and auditors. You know, they don't want too many people out there. I guess the business community lobby don't put too many out there, so you don't have to worry about being audited.
Well, I don't know about any of that. I just know that it seems to me that the job at the Department of Revenue and Taxation is larger than the number of people that they have working there, whether it's banking and taxing and insurance or putting out, giving people driver's licenses and things like that. I think we need to take a look at the mandate. It's a word that you used to use all the time. The mandates that we deliver to the Department of Revenue and Taxation, and equalize that. See, like I'm using Eddie's word now. Equalize that with the number of people that they need to do the job. Artie Logan had said for years.
Well, let me tell you about Artie Logan. He's a Republican through and through, and he was, when I became governor, he was a classified employee, and we worked very well. And John Camacho, same. When Joey Duenas came in there, we said, they said, Governor, I am a Republican and classified, but here's what it's going to take for us to be able to collect so much money coming because we don't have enough personnel. So he wrote me a memo for 52 employees to be able to equalize, like you said, the mandate and to get the money in. I sent it to the legislature and they tore it right up to amend the investigation, the auditing, and they were going to guarantee that we're going to go out and we're going to, the $2 million you're going to spend for these personnel, we will bring in $50 million the first year.
Well, you bring up an interesting point, and the very interesting point here is that even though you've got the people, even though you've got the ideas, you still have another body of the government that was blocking you at every turn. And my recollection of the last couple of years of the last Gutierrez administration, there was plenty of that, and plenty great ideas that you had. I remember you and Ed Antolon working with what was going to be kind of the Teeds help me, economic Teeds and Trust, which was, I thought, a brilliant idea and would have made it so that the lands now that were given back to the people of Guam would remain with the people of Guam, and there would be equal benefit to everyone, including the original landowners, who would all of them be beyond rich now if we had gone through with some of the ideas and working with some of the companies. But that idea got shot down over at the legislature, and it was aided and abetted even by other Democrats.
But the collateral damage that came about with that are the people that own the terminal, the runway. They could never get that back. But if
there was a trust.
There was a trust, and that's how I came up with it and said, listen, FAA, because I had to sign those over to the airport.
The ridiculous part is we had land that we owned free and clear, and now we're paying rent on that land.
Well,
and that's the people of Guam that's paying rent. The people say, "Well, it's the government of Guam." No, that's the people of Guam that are paying rent on that.
But let me get an historical fact out here. The governor of Guam was given those lands back from Tijan to dispose of it. Part of it was, what are we going to do with those that are already occupied by the airport, the Guam International Airport Authority? And I said, this is the time now to be able to take care of those, I think, 700 families that own on the site that we can develop for economic development, and the runways and the terminals and the fuel farm. And I said, let's do a Tijan trust. And I told the FAA that you're not going to get my signature. You're not going to get my signature until you agree that you put $5 million every year into the Tijan Trust, so those families would equally get a cut, whether it's going to be the original landowners or the children or grandchildren, set it up for education, and then they agreed. But then that thing didn't get 1 year into fruition when the legislature decided to throw the Tijan Trust out and give it back to the private landowners. And, within a year, this private landowners just sold it off.
And then you've got, as you point out, the bifurcation between people that did get their lands back, did get the deeds from Felix Camacho, and then the ones that did not, that are still fighting for some kind of a trade, for some kind of equity. And then on top of that, there are other people that were affected that did not get land back, that are looking from the outside going, hey, don't forget us. Well, you have to treat everybody equally now, because we are all now, ancestral landowners that now have not gotten access to the lands equally.
Even those that would never have gotten it back, because there's a runway.
It's a light industrial that we could have done in that area that is being done in that area now. I don't know that
we had AE come. You know what we've drawn a schematic on already? The entire Gov Guam Center, all the 3 branches of government were already designed to all go to Tijan. And it was being designed for that, and then they just pulled the rug from under me.
We already had a customer. We already had a customer that was ready to write the checks.
They were doing it.
Well, I think they're still interested in doing it because I thought they were involved in looking at a deal up on the north end that I think screwed up the plans of some of the other original landowners. Because the
one that Bechtel wanted to come in.
Yeah, you remember they were dealing with Benny Crawford and those guys and talking about
for Pocket area,
yeah. And
but
that one was again killed. I think politics got to that.
Just like Washington D.C., we became overwhelmed by big lobbyists. And that's what happened.
7:54 in the morning, and there's a little bit of where we are now versus where we were then. And oftentimes I like to think, gee, if I had known then what I know now, what I would do differently. If you got to be the governor of Guam again, what would you do differently? I mean, you've got access now to different kinds of technologies. We've got some incredible brain power now that is coming out of the University of Guam. There's a story. You mentioned Phil Flores a little bit earlier. There's a story in the Post this morning about a couple of promotions that they've got with students that graduated from the business programs at the university. So it's the best of all of the worlds. We've got these brilliant kids that are staying here, studying, coming out with degrees, and then going out in the workforce. That becomes an asset for a good governor, doesn't it?
Yes, but you got to have ready jobs available for these people. And what are we going to do in creating those kinds of jobs there to bring more people in? When I was governor, we had more fiber optics coming in and out of Guam than any place in the world per capita.
Mm-hmm.
We did that. Dycom came and dug their cables all the way into by the old Gorko. So we had all those things being built up. When we went to Washington, Bob Kelly and I and Dave Eckert from Saipan, we said the best way to get Guam into the international market was to get Guam into the North American numbering plan. It didn't require legislation. It had to go to this organization called the North American Group. And every time we came close to getting that signature, Canada would step in and say no, never sign off, until I spoke with President Clinton and I asked him to nudge Canada aside. And Dave Eckert and Bob Kelly, my compadre, really did a good job in providing this legislation. Congressman Underwood introduced the legislation in Congress, but there was one thing that didn't go through with it, was Guam being designated as the rural for rates purposes. So we had to go to the Senate to be able to amend the Telecom Act of 1996 to have it changed before they approved it in the Senate. And we got Senator Stevens was the one that put Guam into the newer version that said we were rural so that we are enjoying the rates we're enjoying now.
What do you think the opportunity is in 2018, 2019? If you're the governor and you can assemble a team of compadres like Bob and getting some of that real good technical brain power out there, and a bunch of other guys, what do you suppose the other opportunities are for the next big thing that will bring jobs to Guam?
I may not have all the answers now, but I'm going to do exactly what I did when I first became governor. Almost all of the business community in 1994 went against me. They went for Tanaka Brooks and my party. But they almost fainted when Madeline and I won. So the first thing I did 2 weeks later, because we're facing situation as we're facing now, was called all those guys in, the Bob Coes, the Alan Pickens.
I'm writing down Bob Coe's name as you said it.
Yeah, Bob, Al Pickens, Jerry Filuch, all these guys that know business. Even Baldyga, Mark Baldyga, all these people came in, but I didn't tell them what. I was calling them one by one to come in to Adelup, and I'd like to speak with them. And as they were entering the conference room, they looked at each other like, oh, you're here too, what are you going to get? And this is what exactly I told them. I said, all you guys, probably maybe one of you voted for me. But let me tell you, so you're expecting me to punish you? Okay, I'm going to punish you this way. I'm going to have you guys all work for free, and let's extricate ourselves from this economic slump that we're in. And so we put together the Vision 2001 from that group, and they kind of molded the direction we're going to go. The Bobco stepped up to almost everything. We did Pleasure Island. Take a look at it down there. And so we know that we needed more rooms, so that became a priority. We knew we needed extra seats at the airlines. But when we had the typhoon and the Korean airline crash and airlines were pulling out, we suddenly had to switch our priorities and go and fill up and get more airlines in. But it was the business community that kind of molded the ideas that had to come out to create more jobs, create more opportunities. And that's the same way I'm going to do it. I'm going to call these economic advisors in because I don't know all the answers. I mean, these guys are all probably PhDs and master's degree in economics and all that stuff. That's what I'm going to draw my ideas from.
Governor Carl T.C. Gutierrez with me on the program here this morning on The Point. You got the number 888-8255. Now is not a great time to call because I've got the news coming up in about 55 seconds and enough time maybe to take another look at the traffic map and see if there's anything out there that needs to be worried about between you and the office. If you're already in the office or if you're in the car on the radio, go to your phone and open up thepoint.gu and you can continue listening to the broadcast on the other side of all of that. Kevin Kerrigan with a look at all of the big stories from the Guam Daily Post today. That is ahead right here on radio station KUSG Hagutnya.
Live from New York, The Fox Report.
I'm Chris Foster. Banning bump stocks. President Trump says he's signed a memo ordering Attorney General Jeff Sessions to come up with regulations banning devices that turn legal weapons into machine guns, like in the mass shooting in Las Vegas in October. An unmodified rifle was used in last week's school shooting in Florida. The president's been holding meetings this week to address ways to reduce gun violence.
We're working very hard. We're going to come up with solutions. It's been many, many years, and there have been no solutions. We're going to come up with solutions.
17 people died in that Florida shooting. The Army's awarding heroism medals to 3 junior cadets killed.
One was presented to the family of Cadet Elena Petty at her funeral service Monday morning. Another presented to the family of Cadet Peter Wang. The U.S. Military Academy announced in a statement it had posthumously granted the 15-year-old Wang admission to West Point for his heroic actions, fulfilling his lifelong dream. The family of the third JROTC cadet killed, Martin Duke, will be presented with a medal for heroism at his funeral Saturday. At the Pentagon, Jennifer Griffin, Fox News.
And survivors, about 100 of that shooting, are on buses now from Parkland, Florida to the state capital, Tallahassee, to demand more gun control. Caught up in the Russia election meddling probe, a lawyer, Alex Vanderswan's his name. He pleads guilty to lying to federal investigators about interactions he'd had with the indicted former Trump campaign aide, Rick Gates. A 6-day winning streak ends on Wall Street.
The Dow closing down 254 points, the S&P and NASDAQ down as well. Some of the Dow's biggest drags today: Walmart, Verizon, United Technologies, General Electric, and Merck. Taking a look at Walmart, shares of the nation's biggest retailer, driven lower by poor earnings and a poor outlook for earnings. Results from the company's online sales operation disappointing investors as well.
That's Fox Business Network's Jerry Willis, and you're on the Fox Report, fair and balanced.
We first opened about 10 years ago. We were small, just a few of us, but it was exciting. I always dreamt of having my own business. It was kind of slow at first, but things started picking up. We had big plans, but in our wildest dreams, we never thought we'd have this much work. Yeah, with so many businesses caught off guard by the storm, Reed Waste Management has never been busier.
What will become of your business after a disaster? Nearly 2/3 of businesses aren't prepared for an emergency, and 40% of businesses that experience a disaster never recover. Make an emergency plan now, before it's too late. For a free online tool that helps you develop an emergency plan to keep your business up and running should disaster strike, visit ready.gov/business. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the American Red Cross, and the Ad Council.
Republicans in Pennsylvania say they will appeal a new congressional map.
It's a decision which could play a significant role in who wins the House in midterms, and President Trump is urging Republicans to challenge it all the way to the Supreme Court. The Pennsylvania High Court redrawing districts after ruling 4-3 that a GOP-drawn map used in the past 3 congressional elections violates the state's constitution, calling it, quote, aimed at achieving unfair partisan gain. The president tweeting, "Don't let the Dems take elections away from you so that they can raise taxes and waste money." Democrats say the new lines only even the playing field. Lillian Wu, Fox News.
A 7th grader in Ohio is hospitalized after shooting himself in a school bathroom this morning. We've not gotten any word on his condition, and it's not clear whether the shooting was intentional. Police say that boy also had a device in his backpack that could have caused smoke or a loud bang but not hurt anyone. The chairman of the clothing company Guess, Inc. is walking away from day-to-day duties at the company for now. Here's Fox's Michelle Polino.
The co-founder of Guess is stepping aside 2 weeks after allegations of sexual harassment were leveled at him from model Kate Upton. Designer Paul Marciano is stepping down from the company until the sexual misconduct investigation is complete. Marciano saying in a statement, "I've pledged my full cooperation to the company." Earlier this month, Upton alleged that Marciano inappropriately touched her in 2010, saying he forcibly grabbed her breasts and said, "I'm making sure they're real." She added he continued to grab her throughout the shoot.
And he denies those accusations. Well, the trial's supposed to have started today. The manufacturer 3M Company agrees to settle and pay the state of Minnesota $850 million over disposed of chemicals that contaminated groundwater. The lawsuit was for $5 billion. In New York, I'm Chris Foster, Fox News Radio.
This KFC chicken is great. Shrimp. Hey, who are you calling shrimp? KFC's new shrimp burger. It's great.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. Try our new shrimp burger and all our seafood items available this season. KFC Food Kelequin, breaded shrimp, seafood salad, and of course, we can't forget your one and only favorite KFC original recipe chicken.
All right. I need to try KFC's new shrimp burger. Good, because you really are shrimp. Hey, a 5-7.
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
I'm a working mom and could really use more hours in my day. Thankfully, my non-electric Kinetico water treatment system has simplified my life. It's easier to clean my home with Kinetico conditioned water. No more scrubbing tubs or wiping water spots. Cleaners work better and last longer. And all the Kinetico drinking water we want is right here. No more lugging home bottled water. All this, and I'm saving money too, thanks to Kinetico.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com.
Through incredible diligence and collaboration between all of our airport partners, AB Wonpat International Airport has earned a 100% perfect score for meeting and exceeding FAA standards in safety and best practices for 2 years in a row. We are proud to be the first and only airport in the Pacific region to achieve this. Your airport familia works hard to keep you safe. Guam International Airport Authority, celebrating 42 with you.
Special things only come around once a year, and it's time for fish fans to celebrate the return of Wendy's Cod Filet Sandwich. Wendy's uses the gold standard for fried fish, wild-caught Northern Pacific cod, breaded with panko crumbs to a light crisp. Add a new creamy dill tartar sauce and crisp pickles, and you've got the fish sandwich many say is the best of the bunch. Get yours today at Wendy's, located in Tamuning, Barragata, Agana, Dededo, and Naval Base. Wendy's Cod Filet. Now that's better.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 8 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan, and here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Rival revenue bills up for a trio of public hearings today at the legislature. One bill from the governor, the other introduced by Speaker Benjamin Cruz. The governor has proposed a temporary 2-year 50% increase in the business privilege tax from 4% now up to 6%. The speaker is also proposing a temporary 25% 2-year BPT increase from 4 to 5%. Coupled with a pay raise rollback for all GovGuam employees back to the levels they were at prior to the implementation of the pay raises in 2014. 3 hearings on both bills will be held in the legislature's public hearing room today. The first gets underway at 9:30 this morning, then at 2 this afternoon. The third hearing set for 6 p.m. this evening. GovGuam is facing a $67 million shortfall this fiscal year alone, in the wake of the federal tax reform legislation passed in December by Congress. The Guam Board of Education last night came out in support of the governor's bill, seeking to temporarily raise the business privilege tax from 4 to 6% because it would provide direct support for Guam DOE. In a resolution passed during a board meeting last night, however, if the legislature prefers the rival measure introduced by Speaker Cruz, the board said it wants flexibility over budget cuts in order to avoid damaging employee morale if the bill's proposed salary reductions take place. Superintendent John Fernandez said rolling back salaries may result in a $4 million savings for the department, but neither bill appears to anticipate an end to Guam DOE's budget cuts after enactment. Board member Lourdes San Nicolas said it was necessary to protect employees considering the effort they put into their jobs in preparing schools for accreditation and ensuring students are educated. More news after this.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
When the power goes out on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morocco Equipment LLC on Epal Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946. Don't forget to click on to MoroccoEquipment.com.
News time here at The Point is 11 minutes past 8 a.m. Guam delegate Madeline Bordallo has formally announced her bid for a 9th term as Guam's delegate to the U.S. House of Representatives. She was surrounded by a number of her longtime supporters at the Plaza de España yesterday afternoon, where she said the political landscape in Washington has never been this bitter, and that's why she has built and maintained strong relationships with her colleagues in Congress. The Congresswoman has served as Guam's delegate for the past 15 years. She said her seniority in Congress has yielded real results for the community. The legislature's override Monday of the governor's veto of a health insurance bill has drawn different reactions from 2 of the 3 health insurance providers that provide that coverage for GovGuam employees and retirees. Calvo Select Care Plan Administrator Frank Campillo telling the Guam Daily Post that he is flabbergasted by the override, saying lawmakers reversed their views on multiple choice for health insurance after fighting against a single provider agreement for many years. On the other hand, Moylan's Net Care Plan Administrator Jerry Crisostomo told the Post that he thinks the override makes a lot of sense. Crisostomo said he appreciates the governor's effort to give GovGuam employees choices, but given the financial challenges now facing the government of Guam, he observed that the savings would be significant if they opted to go with one carrier. Finally, Saipan's Department of Public Safety and the FBI executed a search warrant last Saturday at a Coblerville property on Saipan. They were looking for the remains of Milenia and Faloma Luke. The 2 sisters were last seen nearly 7 years ago on May 25, 2011, near a school bus stop. Court documents authorized investigators to search the residential compound and in the vicinity behind a home along Tinaktak Drive belonging to Anna and Calistro Chrysostomo, the parents of convicted murderer Joseph Chrysostomo. In 2014, Joseph Chrysostomo was sent to jail for an unrelated murder from 2012. He's currently serving a life sentence in the CNMI. For those stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Right now with the weather.
Yeah, just before I get to the weather, I've been sent pictures of an accident. Looks like a little bit of a fender bender in front of the old Ben Franklin in Tamuning, and it looks like it's going to be affecting southbound traffic. In fact, looking at the traffic maps right now, looks like it's affecting traffic kind of in both directions. You'll start to see a slowdown around the Horse and Cow area, and also trying to get onto Marine Corps Drive by the Old Wise Owl spot. So that's what's happening now. To the skies, a high risk of rip currents in a second. Partly cloudy and isolated showers tonight. East winds up to about 20 miles an hour. Daytime highs should be about 89 degrees. Partly cloudy, isolated showers this evening. Winds up to about 20 miles an hour. And overnight lows 76 degrees. It would be the perfect night to spend talking politics and the economy and Carl Gutierrez's front yard. It would be perfect for exactly that kind of thing. Hey, if you're going on the water, be very, very careful, especially up on the north-facing reefs. High risk of rip currents there through Tuesday morning. High surf advisory in effect along all north-facing reefs as well. The idea is go up there, take a look at the water, and then go find another beach a little bit more south. That will keep you alive through the process. Quarter after 8 o'clock in the morning. That's news and weather together on The Point.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care. Our island, your health plan.
This KFC chicken is great. Shrimp. Hey, who are you calling shrimp? KFC's new shrimp burger. It's great.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. Try our new shrimp burger and all our seafood items available this season. KFC Food Keliquin, breaded shrimp, seafood salad, and of course, we can't forget your one and only favorite KFC original recipe chicken.
All right. I need to try KFC's new shrimp burger. Good, because you really are shrimp. Hey, a 5-7.
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
$7 meal from Circle K. Get your choice of 2 Nathan's all-beef hot dogs or a half-pound Nathan's all-beef footlong, a big wrap bag of chips, and any size Polar Pop. That's a giant deal of a meal, all for only $7. Circle K. Take it easy.
The car of the year is here. The all-new 2018 Honda Accord, only at Triple J. Total redesign inside and out. It's no surprise that it's Car and Driver's 10 Best a record 32 times. With all-new features like the Honda Sensing Standard, Bluetooth and reverse camera, an all-new touchscreen setup, and an all-new 1.5 and 2.0 turbo engines. Best in its class and equipped with Honda's first 10-speed transmission. You'll have to test drive for yourself or take a virtual 360-degree tour of the Accord online at triplejguam.com. Triple J, customers first.
The Ray Gibson Show. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Oh, man, I got to make a correction here. So the building that I thought when I looked at the picture of the old Ben Franklin is not the old Ben Franklin. It's the Agbayani shop. You know where the subway is on Route 8 in Mighty Barragata area? Yeah, that's where the accident is. I'm sorry. Listen, I was
by
looking,
Palomo store.
Yeah, by Palomo store, and that's what I thought I had recognized the intersection. Traffic obviously building up in the Infusion area and that part of Tamuning just because it's Wednesday morning. But the big deal is on Route 8. GPD responding to a traffic crash by subway. Southbound lanes are closed and traffic is being rerouted. That's basically turn around. Motorists are advised to seek alternate routes through there. All right, so it's on Route 8, not Marine Corps Drive. So watch traffic moving in the other direction. 888-8255 is the telephone number here to the radio station. Former Governor candidate Carl T.C. Gutierrez in the studios. And to answer the question from my treasurer, yes, I am having a great time. I absolutely love getting into the conversations because oftentimes we manage to get into some of the nitty-gritty. Carl Gutierrez is not afraid of saying, no, Ray, you are wrong, or you're not thinking about that in the correct terms. But and especially where it comes to institutional knowledge, if you'd like to know how to avoid some of the problems that we have now, or to avoid some potential mistakes as we correct what we've been dealt now, sometimes it's a good idea to find somebody older than you that has a little bit more historical depth on how to get in and out of problems. Now, when you think about the administration of Carl Gutierrez going back in the day, and I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm fawning, but it is the absolute truth. You think about what we went through in the 90s, how many back-to-back-to-back storms that we had. Who was there when the KAL plane crashed? Carl Gutierrez was there. You're bad luck. I'm just kidding. But this town went through some pretty significantly bad times, and somebody needed to lead to get us out of those times. So as we look at the disaster that is presented to Guam by these tax cuts, do you have any ideas that things that we can do outside of the general stuff? Well, we've got to build up the economy, obviously. But I mean, are there anything pops into your head now on how to deal with it?
Well, I know the action.
Short term and long term.
Yeah. Well, the first term I gotta tell you is that, first of all, I've been tested under live fire. That's what I'm trying to tell the people. Now, the first thing I would do is find the resources. And no one goes fishing in their swimming pool. I mean, there's no resources there, right? You got to get up and go to Washington, D.C., where the situation could be actually completely mitigated or even enhanced if you went there and sit down with the powers that be. Somehow, I don't know whether they're intimidated. We have a Washington office, I think 1.1 million a year for the last almost 8 years. And we're getting the OPA to be the one to give us the impact of the Trump tax instead of coming out of Washington, D.C. What are they doing there? I never had a Washington, D.C. budget. 1.1 million a year.
Well, and then they wanted to hire a lobbyist.
Now they're going to do that. I don't know how that's going, but you can't do that and expect to get any results in 6 months. This ain't going to happen. So that's where I'm headed to. Is to Washington, D.C., and figure out how to infiltrate the White House peacefully and get to Trump. I mean, I did that with Bush. 2 years. I was governor for the last 2 years of my governorship. Bush was there. I sat down with Bush, and we talked about biometrics. I was the one that brought it up at the governor sitting with the president. Mr. President, use Guam as a biometrics test to bring in Chinese tourists. And we would set up the biometrics testing in Shanghai, Guangdong, and another place. Hong Kong, to be able to process the Fujian area. Okay. And so he said, what's that? What's biometrics? I mean, that's the way he said, right? And the guy that chuckled so much was the guy from Alaska. And I said, this is what we want to do. He says, please, when we get out of here, go sit down with my chief of staff. That's what we did, right? And when we were working very, very closely with how to move Guam as a testing point, because we're an insular area. Because INS in the past only track you coming in, but they never track you going out. And I said, we're going to do that with Guam as a test kit. We'll set up the coming in, and we will let you know of the goings out. And we want to open up China. So we were moving forward with that, and then guess what happened?
9/11.
9/11, and that's what kind of stopped everything. But we were finding ways on how to make. We were thinking outside the box. That's what you need to do. So going to Washington, I can work with Trump. I certainly can. But what has been happening now? There's no presence there that makes a difference. There's no presence there that makes a difference. No one has gone in and told the real story of Guam. I mean, Trump, no matter how hard the guy may be, but he understands inequities and, people being mistreated. If you just tell the right story and let him feel when you're talking to him, instead of just sending letters, it ain't going to work.
Well, it would surprise me if you didn't already have his number in your iPhone. Do you have contact with Trump? I mean, he was a mover and shaker long before he was a celebrity president. Had you had any dealings with?
No, none at all. But there's a man that I'm dealing with. But unfortunately, he's getting really sick. The guy that helped me, he's a Republican. He's a compadre of John McCain. And we were working things out on the H-2B. I was just doing it on my own through my contacts there. And we were trying to see if we could get Guam sort of, exempt from whatever national policy they have on H-2. And we were working on that already. But there's a way to get, to where you're heading. And no, I have not yet made
so
it.
If it was me and they said, we're going to send you to D.C., what two issues would you go after? First one is EITC, which is something that goes back to your administration, and your answer was simply, we're not paying EITC.
But you know how we did that? With the brilliance of Roy Duenas. He says, Governor, you just can't do this.
Wait, disclosure, that's your treasurer, right?
No.
Campaign manager?
No. I'm sorry. I meant Joey Duenas.
Oh, Joey, okay.
Joey Duenas was the Director of Revenue and Tax.
Yes.
And he had, I forget what the lawyer that I assigned from the AG's office to him to continue monitoring the laws, right? I said, we can't pay the EITC. I said, well, I don't want to pay the EITC. He says, but sometimes you can't do it. And so they went to Washington and they said, no, the form says blah, blah, blah. You know what Joey did and that guy? They changed the form. And they didn't include it in there. So how can you file? And the only time I paid EITC was in 1998 for 1997 when former Senator Tony Blas was a Ways and Means Chairman, appropriated the $18 million from me to pay it, but in a different category. But I paid that 1 year. And when they gave me the money directly, I was able to do it, but not when they don't give me any money.
The case was eventually taken into federal court. The United States not a part of that case.
Yeah.
It was, I think it was, I'm trying to remember, it was a plaintiffs against the government of Guam or something like that, but they never called in the United States to join in that in that court case. I believe back then that was a mistake because we needed to clarify, as I think we still do, what the crux of the EITC. I think as a program, I don't have a problem with earned income tax credits for working families that need the assistance, but we've got to make sure that it is paid for the same way that it's paid in the mainland.
Like mostly SSN money.
Yes.
But let me tell you, did you know, I mean, from what I understand, how we ended up in court was someone had gone and asked for a special compensation on the EITC at the governor's office at that time, and they paid one.
Right.
And that's what opened up the box.
Yep.
But that judge that made the decision to say pay the EITC also said, where are you guys? Why aren't you taking the federal government to court?
That's right.
And nobody
Judge in Pico, wasn't it?
No, it was a different person from the States or wherever he's from, Hawaii.
I thought it was local.
No, somebody else was sitting in. No, it was an outside judge. And no one has ever followed through with what the judge was sort of telling you in advance, signaling to you and telegraphing it to you that you guys have a good case. You take this to the courts.
Do you think we still have a good case?
Absolutely.
Would that be one of the things you did?
I already said that I was going to explore that possibility because this is killing us. There's up to $68 million right now in EITC.
It's the third of all of the refunds that we pay.
That's what happens when you get into doing a favor for somebody and then you end up doing it for everybody.
Which is, I think the genesis of it was exactly that. Somebody got tired of the telephone calls and said, pay the guy. Yeah. And once the guy got paid, it was all said and done. I think the guy might probably be listening to the program this morning. 8:25 in the morning. Before I get to the next question, I did want to note here that Route 16 traffic is a nightmare coming out of Barragata Heights and into the intersection of 810 and 16 over by Happy Mart. I've got red lines all the way through there. Red lines all the way. Looks like until we get you're not going to be able to go through there. About to where the subway is, I'm told that traffic is being turned around. Traffic northbound is being is subject to some traffic right now. GFD units responding on Route 8 subway in Barrigada. That's the official word in the news. Auto versus dump truck. Serious injuries there. Initial reports are one patient unconscious and unresponsive. The scene is still developing. The story is still developing. If you can take an alternate route, I know it's tricky in that area with as many people that need to get to Route 10, to Mangilao and the utilities campus, but kind of a nightmare through there. 888-8255 is the telephone number. And normally we'd say, okay, we'll keep the gov until, Eddie had an hour and the gov can have an hour, but I do recognize that Ken wants to go on the radio, and there might be a couple of other people that want to join the conversation with the governor, so I'll be happy to extend the time to him. And for very good reason, we have now got the highest number of concurrent viewers on Facebook. I don't know what the website's looking like, but it seems to me we get a lot of people watching on Facebook, so, if it's ratings gold, we'll keep doing it. The other point to getting to Washington, D.C., it seems to me, if the other issue that I would attack, and I don't know exactly how I'd begin, maybe you've got a better idea, but we've got to find a way to integrate Guam into the conversation about the impact, the compact of free association between the United States and our island neighbors.
Exactly. And Hawaii has got 2 senators.
Hawaii's a state and they can't do it.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And so that's a different way as relationship, personal relationship. I already got 2 people I'm looking at. One female who's probably the one I want to send there right away to start piling up with Trump, because he's already made inroads into the political hierarchy there. And that's what you need to do, not somebody that sits in an office and then we never hear from. Have you ever heard of a report of the state of Washington, D.C. office? They don't even report out here what's going on with the $1.1 million a year. What is it? I mean, so why are we throwing that? That's $1 million you can already pay off on the deficit.
Yeah.
Because you don't need it. Yeah, you've got Madeline Bardalia there, work with her. Okay? Or send somebody there, on an occasional basis. Or the governor. Go there, Governor, and make your presence known there.
You mentioned Madeline, and on the occasion of the day after her announcement that she's going to run for a 9th term as the delegate, and I know in some corners it's fashionable to be very, very critical of the Congresswoman. She's been there, but we've had this problem with compact impact for as long as she has been in there, maybe even longer. Is it possible? And barring any issues that you had when she was your lieutenant governor, is it possible that now is time to find somebody else that will approach that problem differently?
We can approach it without having to interfere with the delegate race. There's a way that the governor can do it and work with whoever is there in our delegate seat. But there's a way to do it, and it's not just to wait until budget time to deal with it. It's somebody that bird dogs it from day one and stays with it as their marching orders.
Yeah.
That's it. Go there and get it done. And then you don't have to go out and announce for a lobbyist. Just get one guy that you already know, or one person.
And this is your job.
That's right.
2 years in this term, and since you have nothing to do but figure out a way to either administratively or through other regulatory channels find a way to get Guam recompensed what we are owed to host these migrants.
And the one man that I'll admire till I die that was able to do that all the time, he knows his limitation, was Congressman Antonio B. Wampat. He knew he was the diminutive guy. But he went and latched himself to Congressman Phil Burton. I also latched myself onto Congressman Burton when I first became Speaker. Unfortunately, he died 3 months later. But that man he'll ask you, what is it that you want? And we tell him, and it's done. It's that relationship. I keep telling you, it's that relationship you need to have with these people so they care for you. It's not
okay, so we'll send somebody after Trump. Who in Congress would you go after? Who do you think we need to
build
that?
All right. First of all, I have a very good relationship with Tom Carper, Senator Carper from Delaware. He was a governor when I was governor. John Garamendi, he's a senior from
still around.
He's still there, and he's he was an insurance man in California, but he's pretty senior. And so there's those 2 that I can tackle from both sides of the House, and there are people there that I can I can talk to, and we still have that relationship. I can go talk to a guy like Tommy Thompson, who was on his way out here just before 9/11 to bring me the public health health doctors and nurses to augment the northern clinic, the central clinic, and the southern clinic with nurses and doctors and Guam Memorial Hospital. There were 17 people. He was going to come to Guam and say, Governor, here's what we're going to do for 3 years. We're going to augment it with officers from the Public Health Service. And then 9/11 hit 3 days before he was going to come to Guam. But he's still there, and he's still well-liked in the D.C. circle. So he and I still get together. And the ambassador to China is a very close friend of mine. His name is Terry Branstad. I mean, we travel together, just he and I and his wife, and my wife, Jerry, and we talk about things. And he went back again to being governor, but decided he'll take the ambassadorship to China. I have that relationship still there. I'd go to see him, figure out how to make things work from his level, and pass it on down the line. But it's that I can't underemphasize the personal relationship you have to have with people, not letter or whatever.
Remind me when we come back. Personal relationship with Washington, D.C., at the White House and in Congress. Okay, that's good. But we need to develop strong personal relationships with our own legislature, because it seems to me, and we talked about this during the break, that was where a lot of the issues came to a head between Carl Gutierrez and it was difficult enough to get your things passed, and they became kind of a veto-proof lobby with a couple of people in the old legislature, Republicans and Democrats, that would together find ways to limit the powers of the governor's office. And I think these are some of the powers that actually were questioned all the way up to the Supreme Court. But right now, we got to take a break. It's headlines time with Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post.
Hafa and good morning, Guam. Breaking news out of Barragata this morning. Serious injury accident reported on Route 8 next to the subway. Traffic, all southbound lanes closed. Traffic being rerouted. Motorists are advised to seek alternate routes. A dump truck has reportedly collided with an automobile. Guam Fire and Rescue has responded. They're on the scene. Initial reports say one person unconscious and unresponsive. Thousands of GovGuam workers got a memo from Governor Calvo yesterday encouraging them to turn out at the hearing and voice their opinions on two bills. In his message to employees, the governor wrote he doesn't support repealing salary increases, saying this is not an option for us. Reducing our workforce pay would do more harm to our economy than help. In a statement in response to the governor's message, Speaker Benjamin Cruz said he would offer his response prior to this morning's hearing. The speaker also invited everyone impacted by the current fiscal crisis to turn out for today's hearings. The first one begins at 9:30 this morning, another at 2 this afternoon, and the third at 6 this evening in the Guam Congress building. Department of Corrections detainee thought he was a free man when he was released from prison over the weekend, but quickly found out that was a mistake. DepCorps Director Tony Lamarena explaining that the confusion stemmed from two separate criminal cases involving inmate Ben Espinoza. DOC got a release order for Espinoza in one of those cases, but he was still serving time in the other. Lamarena said an internal investigation is underway. And finally, the Chinese Lunar New Year began last Friday. Chinese visitors making their way to Guam for the festivities. Mainland Chinese visitors are flying into the island on United and other airlines from Shanghai, Hong Kong, and elsewhere. GVB President Nate DeKnight says the February bookings from mainland China on many airlines have been sold out. They're expecting more than 2,000 this month alone. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Special things only come around once a year, and it's time for fish fans to celebrate the return of Wendy's Cod Filet Sandwich. Wendy's uses the gold standard for fried fish, wild-caught Northern Pacific cod, breaded with panko crumbs to a light crisp. Add a new creamy dill tartar sauce and crisp pickles, and you've got the fish sandwich many say is the best of the bunch. Get yours today at Wendy's, located in Tamuning, Barragata, Agana, Dededo, and Naval Base. Wendy's Cod Filet. Now that's better.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
This KFC chicken is great, Shrimp. Hey, who are you calling Shrimp? KFC's new Shrimp Burger. It's great.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. Try our new shrimp burger and all our seafood items available this season. KFC Food Kelequin, breaded shrimp, seafood salad, and of course, we can't forget your one and only favorite KFC original recipe chicken.
All right, I need to try KFC's new Shrimp Burger. Good, because you really are shrimp. Hey, a 5-7.
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Through incredible diligence and collaboration between all of our airport partners, AB1 Pat International Airport has earned a 100% perfect score for meeting and exceeding FAA standards in safety and best practices for 2 years in a row. We are proud to be the first and only airport in the Pacific region to achieve this. Your airport familia works hard to keep you safe. Guam International Airport Authority, celebrating 42 with you.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
Yeah, another look at traffic, and the big traffic issues here are Route 16 and Route 8. There's an accident over in front of the subway area on Route 8, Palomo Store, and that has got traffic snagged in both directions. Word is it looks like there's some injuries involved. Police moving traffic out of that area. Alternate routes are suggested. If you don't need to be on Route 8, then avoid it right now. Problem is, it's kind of tricky for a lot of people trying to get to 8, 10, and 16. And starting to see traffic beginning to build up around the Ocean View 76. Keep wanting to call it Exxon. I'm the guy who keeps wanting to call it Gibson's. Other end of that road at the intersection of the airport leading down to the Home Depot is starting to build up as well. I think it's just a lot of people trying to, as we say, deal with the congestion on Route 8. When you lose the lanes like that, there aren't too many other options, and they fill up rather quickly. So that's what's happening in traffic this morning right here on The Point.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is healthcare that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
$7 meal from Circle K. Get your choice of 2 Nathan's all-beef hot dogs or a half-pound Nathan's all-beef footlong, a big wrap bag of chips, and any size Polar Pop. That's a giant deal of a meal, all for only $7. Circle K. Take it easy.
Ready, fire, aim. Wait a second. No, hey, listen, sometimes the leadership can be guilty of that kind of thing, and sometimes it's just because of the nature of the battle in front of you. You don't know what to do, but you feel like you're compelled to do something, and I've got a feeling that that might be some of the overriding thinking that is going to go into some testimony that we'll hear this morning over at the legislature, and this afternoon, and tonight over at the legislature. Is people that hear these scary numbers, as Frankie Shizaki put it in the newspaper this morning, scary preliminary numbers coming out of these so-called experts in the government, and we're all put into that situation where, well, I guess we better do something. And I worry that, in doing that something, we might actually shoot ourselves in the foot.
Yeah, well, it's like you said, ready, aim.
Ready, fire, aim?
Fire, aim. Well, I say ready, aim, backfire. And that's what's going to happen. I mean, all this thing is going to backfire on everyone, in the legislature to the governor. Now, you asked me about, and I want to get there, about working with the legislature, okay? But I just want to let you know that what I was really intending about running is that I was trying to seek, authority, not power, authority to be able to get things done. And as I was saying, I went before Madeline Berdalio. I went before Governor Calvo. And I said, listen, you have all these problems. This is almost over a year and a half ago, a year and 3 months ago, December 1st of 2016. And I asked if I could, give me some portfolio, as Senator Frank Santos would say. Give me some portfolio so that I can go and go to Washington or go to China or wherever and try to represent Guam with a portfolio. I said I wanted to work on this H2 situation. I've already got this guy talking to McCain to exempt Guam. And Madeline says, okay, I'll try. Okay, to see if I can give you some kind of portfolio and let me work. I said, you don't pay me. You don't pay me at all. And if I hire somebody, you pay stipend. And so she came back and says, I can't do that. There's no legal way I can do that. So then I saw Eddie at the opening of the Guam Congress building. And I said, Governor, I asked Madeline this, she can't do it. Why don't you consider giving me some kind of an authority? I'll pay my own way there. You don't have to pay me. And it's the same thing. I like it. I'll get back to you. And then I ran into Ray Tenorio 3 days later, and I said, I asked this. The government said, yeah, they told me about it. He never heard after that. I said, probably thinking, well, what if he's successful? Kind of, that's what I'm thinking. What if he's successful? But I wouldn't be running if they just gave me something to be able to also represent the people. Now, when you ask me about the legislature, number one, the legislature, I just think that maybe I should get a better working relationship with the media, because they had a better one at that time. I mean, they pretty much had everything they did was against me, from them to the media.
I recall there was those problems.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to work well with the media, and with the advent of more presence of media here and social media and other things, I might be able to get my ideas through and not be able to be locked out completely.
As a member of the media, but I didn't come up in the traditional way. I came from music radio, as you might recall,
yes.
and just observant, paying attention to things and being able to talk about it rather readily on the radio. So that's my background of it. So I recalled that it was always easy for you and I to have these conversations, because I didn't feel like I had this natural bias against
yes.
Carl Gutierrez and the government. And I think those were easy conversations, as easy as they are right now. So I'm very interested to hear what's going on. I got a note from a friend that says, golly, I wish this guy was 10 years younger. Can you imagine what he'd be able to do if he was 10 years younger? I mean, this the doer mentality that you've got there. Is age a problem for you?
No. I'm out pacing everybody right now, But let me.
Again, I keep going back to the front page of the newspapers, and I got Madeline Berdalio on there, and she's 84 this year.
That's correct.
Yeah.
No, she'll be 85 in May 31st. So, anyway, let me tell you how.
How old are you going to be this year?
Huh?
How old are you?
I'm 76 and 4 months.
Okay.
Okay, but let me say that.
That used to be old.
Oh yeah, believe me. People at 60, I was expecting them to overtake them to Pigo.
Yeah.
But let me say this, Ray, okay? Because it's more than just a problem from year to year with the legislature and the governor. There is an imbalance of power, and everybody's trying to put a check on the other because of the Organic Act of Guam. And rightfully so, the Organic Act of Guam they gave the power to the governor because there was no government, and to be able to build in the new laws. But the separation of powers between the governor and the judiciary at the time and the legislature was skewed towards the governor, until people came in and started changing the different methods of the Organic Act, and So what I'm saying is that when Congress gave Guam the authority in 1997 to write their own constitution, provided that Congress approves it and the President of the United States approves it. You write a constitution that deals with all subject matter, that deals with local self-government, and that the rest of the Organic Act that dealt with relationship with the federal government, you just place that as an addendum for us to work down the line.
You already did that. You did that in the 70s.
That's why I want to get to this point now, so that maybe there's somebody who could be listening in the legislature. But we had it passed and sent to Congress. Congress approved it, then sent to President Carter. President Carter signed it and approved it. And so Ricky and I went there and got the Constitution back October 3rd, 1978. I'll never forget. And we came back and we tried to ratify it. But your Uncle Robert and his group of Pada said, no, kill this, because, you know, if you approve this, then you negate all future rights to negotiate. Well, it's been 40 years. Nobody stepped up after that to negotiate anything. Okay, so the Constitution got approved by Congress, got approved by the President. It's still there. It's still there. Except for a little tweaking, I say, senators, pass the bill to call another referendum to ratify the Constitution, because that equals the branches of government almost completely equal, so that you don't have this internal fighting.
Which costs us a whole lot of money.
For what?
Number one, to have all of this fighting.
Exactly.
It generally costs us a lot
and
of
heartaches,
money.
and heartaches.
And it doesn't generally move us that much further from where we are. So I keep, you know, when we start talking about Washington, D.C., when we start talking about what needs to be done, and I remember a long conversation that we had about this. Once upon a time, the answer might be to find a way to put Guam more in the driver's seat as the territory of the United States of America, and an unincorporated territory at that. We have very little going for us. But if we begin to redraft our place in the relationship with the United States, it should give us the ability to go back to the federal government and say, okay, we've looked at this EITC thing as an example and say, we don't like this, we're going to do it this way instead, and either get a yes or a no, or no, try it this way out of the federal government, as opposed to, you know, my way or the highway with the compact migration, which we all agree is a good thing, certainly for you know, the population of these island nations to be able to come out here and improve their lives where they can, and improve our community where they can. There's nothing wrong with that, but it costs us a whole lot of money, basically, to subsidize the governments of these islands and their health care and their education, and in their you know, in their relationship with their people who are basically doing their jobs. We should be able to, I think, with a new kind of relationship with the federal government, be able to equalize that between us and them. But we can't do it now.
No, we can't. But if you ratify that Constitution, with afterwards having a constitutional convention to ratify, you know, the Department of Education side, the courts, the Attorney General, because something had changed in between them now. But here's what's left over. Maybe 10% is left over of the Organic Act, which deals with the relationship. So I'm saying that focuses in on a right for now for us to move in, okay, to move in and try to figure out that situation. So that's what really is needed right now, and you equal the branches of government. Now, you know, as far as the compact impact, that's also maybe thrown out by the approval of the Constitution. Maybe, and also the EITC may be thrown out by the approval of the Constitution. But nobody's exploring beyond that.
If you don't ask the question, the answer is always no.
That's correct.
So ask the question, and then, you know, if they say no, then that puts a little bit more emphasis in any conversation that we have about, well, then maybe this is not the right relationship with the federal government.
That's right.
Maybe this is not the right way to go. I don't know about independence. I've never had that thought in my head that it would end up being a good thing, but certainly something that allows us to speak to the federal government as equals, in the very least.
There's one thing I wanted to let you know and let the people know. When the Commonwealth Act was stumbling, I mean, I brought John Garamendi out here. He was the Deputy Interior Secretary, number 2. He came out here, brought him out here. We talked about it. But then I said, the Fred Black at that time was throwing all kinds of stuff to the Justice Department. Don't give them Commonwealth because they're all crooks out here. All right? So that kind of, put a stop to it, right? So he and I came up, and I said, well, all I want is that the people of Guam get some kind of meaningful participation in the way that the laws are written that govern our lives. He says, how do you propose that, Governor? I said, let's set up a federal commission, 2 from the federal government, 1 from Guam. And I don't want Interior Department in there. Maybe Department of Justice. The Department of State Department,
would be good
State Department, and DOJ. I chose and DOD.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 because of the DOD presence here and the State Department, so that they know how we deal with China and everybody else. And any time a bill is introduced in the House or the Senate, before they can just go through and pass it, is that they wait for the report from this federal commission to say, listen, one size does not fit all. You got to be able to say, take Guam or the territories out because you're going to kill them economically. That's what they call some meaningful participation. We're not going to be anywhere moving forward to a statehood or independence anytime soon, but certainly put something in place that we have a say-so on that one size fits all doesn't work on Guam.
And this commission, this body would have the power.
There would be...
Because otherwise we've got a congresswoman.
No, he said that he would be written in on an executive order. There's nothing. Nobody's going to go in there and change an executive order already put together.
Right.
You know, for no other reason than honorship.
Who do you like as you think about the possibilities here of another Gutierrez-Bradallo administration? It's just a different Bradallo with Cousin Fred. You've identified him as somebody that would be a good running mate and a good partner in this election. But, going back to that relationship that you've got over at the legislature, are there any young, bright stars that you see in the political landscape, Republicans or Democrats, or even some independent minds that you might be following around on the Twitters and the Facebooks, because I know you're big on that social media. Do you find that there's a lot, 1 or 2 young people that you would love?
There's maybe 2 handfuls, but I don't want to say any of those out there because otherwise they're going to be courted by the other side quickly. but let me say something about Fred Bradallo. He was chief of police. The guy's very learned. I mean, I listened to him. I've watched him write things down. He's analyzed things. And I said, how best, and this is the best way to be able to get somebody in that working position as lieutenant governor, do a lot of the job of running the government, and let him take over as the new generation. All right? Because who knows? I tell the people out there, guys, right now we're heading into a very, very dangerous situation. Even if you just put me in there for 1 minute, just put on the brakes and turn the mungo before we fall over the cliff, right? and so I'll tell you a good story, and I'll maybe let the people laugh. Madeline Bardallo, at 2 years ago, Carla was sitting there, my wife, and says, Governor, came up to our table at the Pacific Star, and said, maybe I'll get out and you and I run again. Gutierrez Bardallo. He says, that'll make history. I said, Madeline, make history how? He says, well, we're elected twice, and we will be elected 3 times. I said, well, I don't know, Madeline, maybe the only history we'll make is that you and I are the first 2 to die in office. She hit me on the head, but Fred Bardallo, that's the good Bardallo that has more years ahead than behind.
Right.
So that man is smart. I put him up on issues. You listen to his interview. I mean, I've heard people say, man, why is that Fred Bardallo? You just never hear from the guy. But he's so, he's got all kinds of, motivated heart and soul to move forward and be the guy that's going to be part of the millennial group.
Well, you think about his background. You think about Uncle Fred, his father.
Yes,
smart guy. And let me see, there's a judge and a doctor. And
and it was Uncle Fred. His dad, Fred, my buddy Fred, that I tasked to make sure that he goes and privatize GTA and watch over it because he was the consul there at GTA.
Wow, and with every answer, there's always a venue for some more conversation. All right, so sorry, young Republicans and young Democrats. I tried to get him to name some names of people that he'd like to see over at the legislature. I think it'd be a good idea for some of you to get known a little bit more, to get out there. There's some guys, men and women in the GYP, among other places, that I think have got what it takes to start building a political career, and there's nothing wrong with a political career. I think as long as you continue to contribute, as long as you continue to help things grow. I've got to ask, because you and I sit at the same table as residents of Guam. Right? I'm just a guy on the radio. Hey, you're just a guy from Agana Heights, and we live here. What do you see? As you drive around and things, you go, if I was a governor again, I'd fix that, because it makes me nuts when I have to see that every day.
Well, I'm not going to change. That's what I did when I was governor for 8 years. But the thing about it is, as we were talking, that there's just no innovative idea on how to relieve this traffic situation. Where are we going to build? Maybe an overpass somewhere to be able to put in new roads.
Can we just a pedestrian overpass from one side of JFK over to Kmart? Can we do that?
I did the schematics, and it was going to cost us $900,000. Half was going to be paid by Kmart, and half was going to be paid by us. Unfortunately, I left office, and nobody in the legislature wanted to put $450 up there.
So instead, this is what we've got. And anybody that has listened to this program and listened to me on the radio knows it is one of my huge pet peeves. Instead, in order to prevent people from jaywalking between JFK and Kmart every afternoon, because heaven forbid we say something to these kids that might offend them, we put up this god-awful, butt-ugly chain-link fence that starts at Kmart, goes clear down to the gas station. And I'm thinking, this is one of the first things that our visitors see when they come into Guam, and they must think that's where the prison is.
That's right.
Because we've got this. No, that is the entryway to our pleasure island, to the source of all of our revenue. And every 2 or 3 weeks, there's some yahoo that can't drink more than 2 beers without getting themselves into an accident. Will punch a new hole into that thing, and they replace it, and they don't have the right kind of chain link fence or all of this other stuff. There's a way to do this that will be both safe and visually appealing, and that is by they've got them all over the place. They got them in Vegas, they got them in China, they got them in Japan, they got them in Okinawa, and you go up a set of stairs, and it will take you about 30 feet above the traffic. Yeah. What a great place to take a picture.
Yeah, 65 feet.
Is it?
Yeah, because that was the schematic. And also, if I can't find it at Public Works anymore, we'll redesign that. I also had one design, and Jerry Yingling and I kind of spearheaded this, and that's from the bottom of the hill where the Tumon going up to Upper Tumon.
Yep.
To put that same thing and walkway all the way alongside the Australian cable all the way to Micronesia Mall. Because people were walking there and dangerous, and I have that. So I'm gonna dust that thing off also and take a look at it.
If you that one thing, because it's a major change, and we need to do that. We need to find some of these small little things that will make a major change. There's music playing in it, but what does that mean? Does it mean we're done? All right. Well, I'll see you pretty soon. Tell Patty I say hello.
Yes. I got to go down at 10:30. 10:30, Patty.
It's KUSG. I got you. Known as The Point for Kevin Kerrigan and Mike. Well, we still got another hour, but I'm gonna let the governor shake a leg. I'll see you pretty soon.
Equal time. Thanks a lot.
All right. It's 9 a.m.
Banning bump stocks. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. They were used in the Las Vegas massacre. Making semi-automatic weapons fire rapidly like fully automatics. Now President Trump wants devices like bump stocks off the streets. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Steve, President Trump said at a ceremony honoring public safety officers that going back to the deadly shooting of 58 people last October, he directed the Attorney General
to clarify whether certain bump stock devices, like the one used in Las Vegas, are illegal under current law.
The president says in the wake of that tragedy and last week's Florida massacre, he's signed a new memorandum
to ban all devices that turn legal weapons into machine guns.
The president saying it's time to move past debate and enact legislation that promotes safety, Steve.
Gernal, the president will host parents, teachers, and students at the White House tomorrow following last week's school shooting in Parkland, Florida.
Members of the Parkland community will be attending this listening session, as will individuals who were impacted by past school shootings, including the Columbine and Sandy Hook tragedies.
White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders. 3M Company paying the state of Minnesota $850 million to settle a lawsuit over the disposal of chemicals.
3M Company, the maker of Scotchgard, dumped chemicals legally for decades in Washington County and suburban St. Paul. Chemicals that were later found in groundwater, for which Minnesota claims is worth $5 billion in damage, even though 3M claims it did nothing wrong.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. A government review of Hawaii's missile alert system concludes that warning drills were conducted before officials fully developed a plan to address the threat of ballistic missiles. A false alert last month about an incoming missile creating widespread panic. The emergency management employee who sent out that alert was fired. Fox News. Fair and balanced.
Listen, my life changed because someone was there to get me to use drugs. No one can understand. Whether or not they've struggled with addiction themselves, people seem to think that having someone who will listen is gonna help make it better. I'm realizing that I need help.
I'm listening.
I need help. I'm realizing that I think that having someone who will listen is going to help make it better. Whether or not they've struggled with addiction themselves, people seem to understand. No one can get me to use drugs. My life changed because someone was there to listen.
1 in 7 Americans will struggle with addiction during their lifetime. Want to know how you can help? Go to heretolisten.com for tips and tools to help turn addiction around. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council.
Republicans vowing to fight Pennsylvania's new map of congressional districts. The state Supreme Court imposing the redrawn map yesterday. Democrats are expected to benefit from the changes in the midterm elections, but the new map does not apply to a special election set for next month. Louisville losing its appeal of penalties against the men's basketball program for a recruiting scandal.
University of Louisville interim president Greg Postal confirming Tuesday that the sanctions will stand.
The NCAA Infractions Appeals Committee announced that it had upheld earlier imposed penalties.
Postal there in a press conference shortly after the NCAA's denial of the appeal, now forcing the University of Louisville men's basketball team to vacate all wins from 2011 to 2015, including their 2012 Final Four appearance and 2013 national title. Those penalties, assessed in June of last year, also placed the program on probation and requires the forfeiture of any money obtained through conference revenue sharing from the NCAA tournaments from 2012 to 2015. Matt Napolitano, Fox News.
Like dealmaker father, like dealmaker son. Donald Trump Jr. arriving in India to help sell luxury apartments. Wealthy Indians have already bought units in several Trump-branded developments. A rock and roll tragedy 15 years ago today.
It's been a decade and a half since 100 people were killed and 230 were hurt in a fire at the Station nightclub in West Warwick on February 20th, 2003. The fire was caused by pyrotechnics that were set off during a concert by the rock group Great White. Flammable foam that had been installed as soundproofing fueled the fire, which took just 5.5 minutes to spread and engulf the building. A weekend ceremony to mark the date was postponed due to inclement weather and has been rescheduled for May 20th. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
A red day across the board on Wall Street. The Dow closing down 254 points, the Nasdaq shedding 5, while the S&P 500 lost 16, but stock futures are up. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News Radio.
Relax, enjoy, and be greeted by the spectacular view of Hagåtña Bay when you visit the point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam. Gaze into the beautiful sunset as you unwind to the music of Philip Garcia and Natasha on Wednesdays, Mama Shar and Nina on Thursdays, Philip Garcia and Luis Muña on Fridays, and Jack Larimer on Saturdays. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. with all cocktail drinks for $7. Receive a discount when you present your SPG card. Call Peter Yaban at 646-2222 for reservations at the point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort.
$7 meal from Circle K. Get your choice of 2 Nathan's all-beef hot dogs or a half-pound Nathan's all-beef footlong, a big wrap bag of chips, and any size Polar Pop. That's a giant deal of a meal, all for only $7. Circle K. Take it easy.
How do you turn every day into cash back? With the Bank of Guam Visa credit card, cash back just got better.
Get 1.5% cash back every month with every purchase. Every pick-me-up, every filler-up, every Sunday dinner, every four-wheel spinner. Whatever comes to mind. Even every stroll in the sweet sunshine. Everything your heart desires turns into 1.5% cash back every month. The Bank of Guam Visa Credit Card. The everyday card. Apply today. Call, click, or visit. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Guam. Member FDIC.
The Ray Gibson Show. Your new News Talk headquarters.
Well, that was a good time, wasn't it? With Uncle Carl.
Yeah.
It just absolutely flies by like it always does when he's in the studio. Well, as they do when we're just hanging out, and that happens on occasion. It's funny. It leaves me with a few more notes. It didn't give me anything. What's the word? Not insubstantive, but I was kind of hoping there'd be something in there about casinos and marijuana.
Nothing truly titillating.
As much as it is just building the relationships, because I think that's is vital, regardless of who's going to be in there. But we return, and that's down the road if it happens. We return to where we are today, and the issues that face us today. And a reminder that at 9:30 this morning, the folks over at the legislature are going to get together and discuss Bill 244 and 245, the two major pieces of legislation that have been proposed, one by the governor that says we're going to increase the BPT by 50%, go from 4% to 6%, and this amount will go to education, this amount will go to the hospital, this amount will go to government appropriations. After 2 years, we hit the sunset, and the taxes will be rolled back, but not completely. We'll still leave a sliver of this open for a steady supply of cash and revenue to go to Guam Memorial Hospital, which, depending on who you talk to, either needs it or needs an infusion of some different management techniques. And still in all, while I don't think that there is going to be anything that happens with the conversation about this probe that Dennis Rodriguez wants to have over at the legislature to investigate the hospital, I don't think that's going to happen. But it's worth the conversation about trying to figure out what does need to be done, what changes do need to be made at Guam Memorial Hospital so that they are more able to live within their means. And if there is a substantial amount of money that goes to them in the increase in business privilege taxes, that it doesn't get squandered on manpower they don't need, technology that doesn't make all that much difference. A couple of other points I want to make here. Subway. Oh, is this a commercial? It could be. Subway has got your fresh choices for Lent. Sink your teeth into the classic tuna or indulge in the mouth-watering greatness of the seafood sensation. Something new to try, the Veggie Max, a delicious vegetarian patty free of artificial colors and artificial flavors. Visit any of their convenient locations at Subway. Fresh is what they do. And you can visit the convenient location on Route 8. Got this word here. All southbound lanes on Route 8 by the Subway there are open. Officers will be rerouting northbound traffic to one lane as they wrap up all portions of the crash investigation. Advise motorists to proceed with caution while going through that area. You need to do that all the time anyway. Can I just say, because that's a hot intersection.
Right.
With the traffic coming out of the subway and pulling out onto Route 8. Sometimes it's a little tricky to see around the bend for subway, and then I've seen some horrific ones on that roadway. And then once upon a time, it was fairly easy to get in and out of the Toto Cañada Road. That not the one that takes you into Harvest, the one that takes you into Carbolito. And that one has always been tricky, but made even trickier once upon a time when they opened a store there. So now you can't tell where the traffic is moving, turning onto that roadway to get to the store or to get to where you are.
Right.
And I've seen a couple of accidents there as well. So where did we want to go? I'm looking over the table of contents into this hour, and there's a few things that I think are going to be fun, and a couple of people that might be worth talking to. The governor yesterday, that is the current governor, Eddie Calvo, spent some time talking about how everything is on the table. We are at this point in the problem where we are facing a shortage of almost $70 million. And between the two pieces of legislation that you're going to see discussed over at the legislature today, neither one of them gets us really to cover all of that. That's just a tax increase. That was the idea that they floated when we thought it was only going to be $47 million. So, Governor Calvo says, look, dude, everything is on the table now. We should talk about all of the possibilities. And personally, I like the idea. I'll just tell you that now, for nothing. I like the idea that we're going to talk about all of these things. In particular, because if we ignore them, I think we'll miss some opportunities. So I want to have that conversation about, the what-ifs. Maybe the things that we ought to be thinking about that we aren't yet. Well, I'm not a gambler, as I've said many times on the air. I've never gambled because I never thought I had enough money in my pocket to lose it. So when it comes to gambling, when it comes to gaming, even when I'm in Las Vegas, I was in Las Vegas for, last April before last, and spent absolutely zero money on gambling. Not a dime. The majority of the money that I spent while I was there was spent at a White Castle. It was White Castle and McDonald's. McDonald's because they had Wi-Fi, and White Castle because it's White Castle. Good, that's yum. Did you know you can get beer at White Castle? I digress. Dispenser. So I'm not a big gambling guy. But if you want to gamble, as far as I'm concerned, that's fine. Go ahead. You gamble. Just don't be a nuisance. Control your habit. If you cannot gamble and you constantly lose money, then don't rob my house in order to make up for it. Don't be that guy. And it's the same thing with marijuana. I don't smoke marijuana. Anybody knows me knows that's not my thing. I need to take the edge off. I go home to my smiling, happy family and pour myself a cold one. That's the way I do that. But there are people out there that, think that maybe marijuana is the way to do that. So the governor's talking about marijuana on the radio yesterday, and I thought, well, it's an interesting conversation. Maybe we ought to explore it, see where that goes. But the question is if we do recreational marijuana, how do we tax it? Now, Joe was on the line earlier and talking about, we still got to have the lab, we still got to do this, we still got to, Now I'm going, dude, it's recreational. Frankly, I think we're there. What are the possession laws here? Right? So maybe we just got to do something about cultivation and then we're done and just never have more than whatever the amount is so you don't get in trouble with the law if they care to look. And they're only going to look. It's like seatbelt laws. They're only going to pinch you for not wearing a seatbelt if they pull you over for something else. So just don't be an idiot. I say to people listening to this radio station who I know are not idiots.
That's good advice for anyone, I think.
Right?
Don't
be an idiot. Can you just stop? If you were an idiot before, stop being an idiot. If you're not an idiot now, don't start.
There is a book, How to Stop Being an Idiot for Idiots.
I'm sure of it. Yes. Absolutely positive. I may have written it. It may have been written about me. I don't know. All right. Before we get back to that, there's at least one guy I wanted to talk to because I wanted to find out what the Colombian word for flabbergasted was because it's being attributed to my old pal Frank Campillo. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Ray Gibson. Welcome back to Talk Radio.
It's great to be here. And disclaimer, Frank Campillo is an old friend of mine. And disclaimer number 2, Calvo's Insurance and Calvo's Select Care are sponsors of the program. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. But that's not why I called. That's not the reason for us reaching out to you. Obviously, there have been some changes, again, in the way we're dealing with health insurance for employees and retirees in the government of Guam. Is that so?
Yeah, that's correct.
Well, he's still flabbergasted. Can't answer. Yes, there is. So in a nutshell, because I wasn't completely sure what it was they were trying to do over at the legislature when they went through this and then overrode the governor's veto on it. But what fundamentally has changed in the game?
Well, it appears that there are some legislators who think that the government of Guam will save some money by having a single provider, although that has not been validated or proven, simply because one of the suggestions that we had made to the government is that they run the numbers, that they run the numbers on the proposals that were submitted in the last couple of years against the claims, because the government of Guam also has that information, to validate whether or not those proposals were fiscally responsible or whether they were just a joke to try to promote chaos in the proposal system. And because, we have the numbers. We have about 80% of the government of Guam insured with us, and we know what the claims are. And we don't see how, based on the information that has been provided out there, we don't have that information, that the government could have saved $20 million. And we say, well, that those proposals would have been marginally losing money at best and possibly losing a lot of money at worst, which means that it compromises the fiscal soundness of the whole program. And that could leave some people holding the back,
It sound like Obamacare with the exchanges all losing money on this, and the insurance companies not being able to make any money on those plans without the immense subsidies that were coming in. And now that the immense subsidies are gone, we're not going to be doing the taxes on that. That cuts out a major portion of the financing to support these Cadillac deals that they had, and we're beginning to see those just drop by the wayside.
So yeah, and one of the suggestions that we're making is, run those numbers to see how fiscally responsible those proposals were. Number one. Number two, if the government wants to contain costs, evidently the goal is to contain some costs, especially at a time that we are strapped for cash due to to our president's tax plan, that the government could have said, okay, this is the maximum we're going to pay for a single individual. This is the maximum we're going to pay for a couple, and this is the maximum we're going to pay for a family. They can contain the cost and still allow the employees and retirees to have a choice. I think it's important to give a choice to people, and that way they can contain the cost at the front end.
Is that the self-funding option that has been suggested?
No, the self-funded option apparently was something that Jerry Crisostomo suggested to do. But I also, as my good friend Jerry Crisostomo, the government already has a partially funded option today that clearly do not pay providers, do not pay the hospital, and that is called Medicaid. So if a partially funded option that is not working today is bad at best, what makes you think that a fully funded option will be good? I really question the wisdom of that. The government doesn't have the money today, and they will not have the money tomorrow. It will compromise payments to providers.
Yes.
It's no different than the same way as some of the tax rebates. The government will take the premiums from the individual employees, but will not pay the providers, and that's the reason why you buy insurance, because at least we're paying providers, even though the government of Guam at this moment owes Cabo Select Care over $12 million.
That needs to be underscored, so I'm going to ask you to say it again. How much does the government of Guam owe you?
The government of Guam at this moment owes Cabo Select Care over $12 million.
Well, what is the total value of the contract?
The combined contract at the moment is priced. I think the OPA, because remember you.
Well, I mean, this is by a comparison, because it's $12 million, and we know that's a lot of money, and I don't know where the government's going to find that money, but by percentage, how much of it is, what percentage of that is the total that they owe you, from start to finish? What was the value of the agreement?
But remember that it's the entire contract. That means the two other carriers that are also part of this. I think the total is about $78 million based on what the OPA was saying.
Okay.
The total premium for Go Guam, yeah.
So do we know if they're paying the other guys?
I don't know that. I would assume that the government has treats everybody equal.
I would assume that you got paid first, personally, but
I don't think that
based on relationships, I'd assume you guys got paid first. So if you're in the hole for $12 million, I can't imagine that it's much better for Staywell or Moylan's or Netcare.
Yeah, well, I don't think I think everybody's treated equally in that regard. We don't ask for special favors. We want to make sure that everybody's treated equally in that regard.
I'm sorry, that's funny to me. I shouldn't laugh, but it just is. But all right, so there we are. So we'll go back to the idea, because I don't have a problem with it. I think in a lot of companies, private sector side, we would look at the employees and say, okay, listen, I'm glad that you work here. We'd love to give you this insurance package, but the cost of things being, what we can do is we can provide you with a package that will meet the majority of your needs. If you're signing up as an individual, if you're signing up as a husband and wife, or if you're signing up as a family, here are the options that we have for you. And these are the costs that the company side will pay. Now, if you want something additional to that, maybe a beefier dental or a beefier medical, or make sure that you've got this contingency or the other contingency taken care of, then we would be happy to offer that to you at an additional premium. But it's not necessarily part of the package, of the original package, right?
Correct, exactly. So
and you do that every day with businesses all over Guam, don't you?
Yeah, and what happens is you limit the amount of money that you want to contribute on behalf of your employees or retirees. That's basically what you do.
Okay.
And that would be a good way to contain money, contain costs initially. You know up front, because you know how many active employees do you have, how many retirees you have, and what are the different categories that they sign on, and you're able to limit your costs in that regard.
Okay, so we do something like that, and that means that we can probably eliminate this panel that everybody has got to go in front of a couple of times, and just say, this is how much the government of Guam would like to spend in insurance, and show me the plans that we can do in these different consumer categories, and that's it.
You still have to have a proposal, because clearly the government of Guam needs to be responsible to the employees to get benefits that are acceptable.
No. They need to be no. They need to be responsive to the taxpayers, who will end up funding a significant chunk of this.
Well, both.
And I never hear about that. I hear about all the time is that this is the number and that's the figure, and that's what we're going to be going at. And I always ask the question, hey, who was representing me in that conversation? Who was in that meeting said that might be good for this bunch of people, but it's lousy for the taxpayers?
Well, it's both. I think as an employer, an entity, and now that you're an owner, congratulations, Ray. As an employer,
no, I get the easy part of ownership. No. I worked that out, so I get all of the gravy parts of the ownership, and the other partners, they gotta pay for what I get for what I'm doing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
So one of those Donald Trump type of deals, huh? But yeah, I think as a
oh Lord, he's buying another transmitter. Somebody stop him. That's actually true.
Yeah. So as a responsible employer, you also have to be somewhat responsible to your employees to make sure that the benefits that are being bought, or at least that you're going to sign up for, that they're good enough, and that, but at least you're able to limit. Okay, we only pay this much in premium.
Yeah.
For the single couple family, if you want the choices of health plans, you pay the difference for whatever plan you choose.
Right. So I mean, if I'm thinking in my head dental. Many years ago, I used to have this dental program, and it covered my dental needs up to a certain point. You get a number of free cleanings a year, and if you weren't doing anything awful to your teeth and taking minimal care, you might anticipate a cavity here. At the worst, maybe a root canal. But I remember one time I went into this program, and the dentist thought I had a much better insurance plan than I did, and we ran out of money halfway through the plan on how we were going to fix my junky teeth. And I said, what do we do? He says, well, you can either pay me from here on out, or you go back to the insurance company and ask them to augment your plan so that we can get to the end of this, save Ray's ugly teeth thing. And I never did either. I just decided I was going to live with ugly teeth. But the point is I could have had that option, and it would have come out of my own pocket as opposed to sharing it with the other employees, or sharing it or having the company pick up the additional cost.
But you had the option, and that's the important.
Yes.
The important factor in all this is that people are giving options, and that's good. Some companies may have a smaller network, medical network of access to providers Some others may have a more expanded one, but at least the individuals will have an option as to where to sign up.
Right. Well, but brings up the next question because, talking about the government of Guam, and obviously they've got access to health care. It might not be the prettiest thing. It might not be the cheapest thing for the taxpayers. It might not be the cheapest thing for them either at the end of the day, but it's there. And to the degree that they've got a choice between either having it or not having it, or having it shared amongst a number of different providers, it's an interesting conversation. What about people that don't have any access, don't necessarily work for a company or work for a shop that doesn't have access to a health insurance provider? What mechanisms are available for them right now?
Well, and that's where the community, and in this case, actually, government of Guam is paying a huge amount of money on Medicaid, because a lot of the people that do not have health insurance actually end up in the Medicaid roles.
Yeah.
And that has been one of the largest expenditures that the government of Guam has. Part of that is because we only get about 55 cents on the dollar of the new Medicaid eligibles paid by the federal government,
Correct.
Whereas in the states, as the governor has said, in the states, any new Medicaid eligibles are fully paid 100% by the federal government. And that's where we have some inequities as to how we're treated. But that's something that has continued to increase more and more. And the more changes are made to the health insurance and the more increases are done, clearly you end up having more people under Medicaid, So the goal and objective of this community should be to have as many people insured as possible. That will save some money to the Medicaid program.
Well, sometimes I think the money that we're spending in Medicaid ought to be able to, and the MIP programs, we ought to just take that money and march these guys down to Calvo's and make them customers.
Well, thank you for thinking of us as the sole provider in that area.
Well, I got you on the phone. If I had Jeff on the phone, I'd probably say the same thing about Take Care. Well, you know how it is. Just because I haven't seen you in a long time, what are your thoughts? I imagine that yours are not at cross purposes with the Chamber of Commerce and the view moving forward on how to deal with these Trump tax cuts and the impact that they seem to be having breathlessly on members of the government's financial committees?
Well, these are challenging times for everyone, and I think as a community we all need to get together and try to find meaningful solutions.
Well, thank you, Senator.
I was recently at a meeting, and one of the things that we have begun to realize is that the Chamber has put forward proposals for many, many years on how to address some of the shortfalls. For instance, a proposal that has been on the books for a long time is the sales tax, but nothing has been implemented. A proposal that has been on the books for a long time is let's increase real estate property tax, which is where one of the lowest in the nation in regards to that. And that proposal can be shaped in a manner that the current landowners may not be affected as much. You do it at the next transaction.
Yeah, on the sale. I don't know. I remember that conversation from a long time ago. It just seems to me that there's no political will to move from that because the gentried landowners and especially the older Tananas and Tanmarias out there that are sitting on family property that their family has had for 100 years. I agree proactively. That we would only make that change once the properties change hand. But I still think at the end of the day there's this voice in the back of people's heads that it's going to impact the wrong people.
And the problem with that is that then we don't make the changes because of this and that, and then we find ourselves in the situation that we have today, where it becomes a crisis. We can plan and put things in place that affect people less on a long-term basis.
Well, I'm getting a couple of notes here from listeners saying, come on, Frank, you know that Gita has already said there's nothing can be done about the sales tax until we get out from under these BPT taxes. And the clearest daylight to that, the closest daylight to that is going to be another 4.5, 5 years. So why continue to talk about a sales tax if it's not something that we can do right now?
Well, interesting. That's an interesting view. The other view on that is
it came from Jay Rojas. He's the administrator of Gita.
Jay, that's an interesting view, Ray. But Jay, as you also know, You can start a sales tax of 2% today, which allows the government of Guam to collect on web-based sales, which we don't collect today, and still have that GRT that you have today, and put a sunset as to a transition time. So it's not that we cannot do it. We may not have the will to do it. There are things, as I actually mentioned to the speaker a while ago in one of the testimonies. The speaker challenged the Chamber of Commerce by saying, let's grow a spine and a pair. And I think we all need to grow a spine and a pair and start putting solutions into place, as opposed to debating these issues at every single angle. Yes, you can start putting a 2% sales tax parallel with your current GRT, and in the future transition the GRT to a sales tax. Yes, you can do it.
Okay. Grow a spine and a pair.
That's what the speaker said to us, and I think it's a good term that I say to everybody today.
The other question I have for you is, how many options does Select Care give its employees? So if you've got people in your shop, are there a number of options as you bring them in on what kind of coverage you will provide to them?
Excellent question. And the answer to that is we are very fortunate that we are able to provide 100% funding of our health insurance to our single, couple, and family employees, regardless of whatever category they are. And because the employer provides 100% payment for that, we only have one option.
Interesting. Is that just for you guys, or is that I'm sorry, if you can't answer, I'll understand, but I'm just kind of curious. Is that all the way around the Calvo Enterprises? Is that just at the Select Care?
Well, different companies have different financial situations, and some companies fund 100% of the health insurance, some others fund 50%. So I know that at least some of the other companies fund at least 100% of the single. So, but in our case, we've been fortunate enough to be able to fund 100% of the health insurance needs of our employees.
Okay. Last thing, do you think that one of these days there will come a time where I might be able to watch a health insurance company in the mainland that is doing some advertising and call their 800 number and sign up directly with them?
That is a possibility, but then you will have to pay the premiums that you paid in the mainland today, which are about twice as much as the premiums that the average citizen in the island is paying for health insurance.
Really?
Absolutely. I mean, when you look at the cost of health insurance, I
mean, you would imagine that the pool, across the country would be so much greater. You'd think that would be, kind of attractive for the industry to be able to look at that gigantic pool and say, okay, we might be able to spread the costs out a little bit wider if we could go cross borders and provide coverage that way.
Which is basically one of the ideas that President Trump has. Let's go across borders.
Yeah.
And my answer to that is, in continental America, the United Insurance of the world, the Aetnas of the world, they are selling insurance in each and every single state in the continental United States. You don't need to cross borders for these companies to provide health insurance to you. So that idea, to me, really does not have validity in regards to savings. The fact of the matter is that healthcare continues to increase, costs continue to go up. The biggest flashes that we have today in healthcare is the cost of drugs that continue to increase at a dramatic pace, and at least the citizens of the island have been able to benefit for less expensive health plans than the average person in continental America. In continental America, the average individual is paying for a single rate somewhere between $500 to $600 a single with a $2,000 deductible.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I mean, even at your own radio station, I don't think the average premium is about $250 a single. So it's a significant difference in cost as to what we pay. Of course, part of the savings, and I've been saying that for a long time, that we have is the fact that some of our citizens are able to go to the Philippines, and the cost of healthcare in that part of the world is lesser than the cost of healthcare in Guam or Hawaii, and that brings some savings to the entire cost equation, and that's the reason why we have been able to keep premiums reasonably lower.
Is because you can push people onto the airplanes, and we'll see you on Cebu Pacific and Philippine Air and United. And when you land, as many travelers know, you need to get past this long line of wheelchairs on the meet and takes on the concourses as everybody comes in. Now, there's another point that somebody makes as we're talking about the additional expense of being a customer of health insurance companies in the mainland. Yes, the costs are going to be higher, the premiums will be higher, but take a California, take a Washington State, take a Texas, take a North Carolina, you would have access for the money. You would have access to significantly better treatment and significantly better hospitals and different kinds of clinicians and therapies out there, and maybe even drugs that we don't necessarily have access to out here. So it might actually be worthwhile for them to ponder that. 9:35 in the morning. Hey, buddy, when are you going to take me to lunch?
Well, you owe me the lunch, partner, so anytime you're ready to pay the lunch back,
I know it.
I'll be happy to go.
I know it.
But back again, we don't push people to go to the Philippines. It's an option that people have.
I'm sorry, I used the wrong word. I was thinking of the wheelchairs being pushed around. Pushed is not the right word. However, if somebody, and in fact you have given me the option, would you like to have your physical and your colonoscopy on Guam, or would you like to have it in the Philippines? And I opted for the Philippines, not because I wanted a trip to the Philippines. I still had to pay. But primarily because I didn't want to ever run into my colonoscopy doctor at a social at the Hyatt or anywhere else. I just wanted to like a one-night stand. I never want to see you again after this procedure.
Are you calling me a one-night stand?
I got to go. I'll see you pretty soon, buddy.
Thank you very much, Ray.
Frank Impilio from Calvo Select Care. Again, a disclaimer, member of our advertising community here at the radio station. But again, if we're going to be talking about being flabbergasted at the changes that have been made at the legislature, obviously his place has been affected by that, and I wanted to give him an opportunity to say so. I got to take the break. Be right back. Don't move.
As we journey through the new year, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter, so all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
It's Triple J's out with the old and in with the new sales event going on now. Get unbelievable savings on all remaining 2017s, plus many 2018s. Take advantage of our best pricing on all Hondas, Acuras, Fords, Mazdas, Lincolns, Volvos, Kias, and used cars. New cars as low as $137 per paycheck, and used cars as low as $80 per paycheck. Plus no payments for 90 days, 0 down and 1.9% financing on approved credit. Visit us online at triplejguam.com and get pre-approved instantly. Trade-ins welcome. Some conditions apply. See dealer for details. Triple J Auto Group. Customers first.
Turn everything off that I think is going to be making noise here. My name is Ray Gibson. This is The Ray Gibson Show. On the Point, brought to you by King's Restaurant, serving Guam favorites to families for over 40 years. King's Restaurant's always open and always local. One of the things that we are capable of doing here in the studios with all of the high technology that we have access to, I should be able to tune in and find out what's going on over at the legislature. If you're watching, you can see a screen, split screen with me on it. BJ Cruz on the other side. Let's see if we can turn this up and see what he's saying.
I'd like to attribute the plan and the author by just playing what the author of the plan stated so that I'm not accused of misquoting the author.
Huh. Multimedia on top of multimedia. He's waiting for an audio or soundbite to get queued up over at the legislature. The public hearing on 244 and 245 has begun.
I don't have very good news about your government tonight. I made some decisions so that public schools can stay open this year, the hospital can have medicine, and so those most in need do not have to suffer more than they already are. Our finance directors are continuing to assess the government's cash position for this fiscal year. Their preliminary reviews disclose that there is no apparent course of action that will result in positive 2011 cash balances as reported by the prior administration to the Transition Committee. Sometime over the next 9 months, we may quite frankly run out of cash. And if we do, we will not be able to pay employees, run the hospital, keep schools open, or help the needy. If we do not close this cash gap, those in need will suffer most. It will negatively affect mental health, COLA, the hospital, and non-profit organizations like Catholic Social Services and Sanctuary. This is money to feed the homeless, shelter abused children, help victims of domestic violence, assist the elderly pay for their medication, and to aid families struggling with disabilities. We can't leave these people behind. We can't turn a blind eye and watch them suffer as the money runs out. And we also can't keep holding your tax refunds. Ray and I are keeping our promise and are taking immediate actions. We had to act today because I refuse to shut down the government or to have a mass layoff of teachers, police officers, doctors, and other professionals of the government. Ray and I are issuing further orders to cut costs. We are directing all agencies to reduce the cost of electricity by at least 10%. Paper reduction through greater use of digital communication, double-siding printing, and recycling will be mandatory. We will authorize audits of fuel expenses and the use of 24-hour vehicles. We will be investigating the consolidation of office space to save on rentals. And as of today, the Hay study is suspended. I cannot speak to the reasons our predecessors decided to implement the Hay plan based on the financial information we have before us today. All I know is that it was an empty promise. The government can't afford it, and now our hard-working government employees will have to shoulder the burden of that empty promise. These actions do not include further cost cuts. That will be made when agency directors submit their assessments this month. We expect further containment of spending through innovative ideas, and this includes the health insurance liability. We are looking at ways to reduce the cost of health insurance. There are legal issues that we must address first. We need to determine whether legally that this can be effected. To all the government employees, I'm asking you to understand why this must be done. We need to make sure that our neighbors and friends most in need of help do not suffer the most. I will restore the Hay study as soon as we can afford it. And I know that with other cost containment and restructuring initiatives that we will undertake, we can get this government back on track. In the meantime, we will lead by example. We've reduced the personnel costs at the governor's office alone by nearly 20%. We've consolidated positions and we're doing without a lot. We're also reducing costs in every other way we can. Paper reduction, printing, postage, power, and water. My staff and I will be adopting a public school to clean regularly so we reduce the budget burden on public schools and the mayors. The Lieutenant Governor also will be leading volunteer service projects. His Comps for Kids program will bring computers to classrooms. And he is calling on the private sector to join his his beautification task force to alleviate funding strains of public works, parks and recreation, and the mayors. I want to thank my wife, Christine.
And we could go on with this. It looks like it's one of Eddie's original, long-time going not State of the Island addresses, but it was this is from a presentation that he made to KUAM television. If you're watching it, you can see their logos on it. And what I think I'm hearing here will recall for people the phrase "hoisted on his own petard." Is what he's talking about there, and I think what B.J. Cruz, as Speaker of the Legislature, is trying to do with his own paperwork is to show that some of the things that he's talking about in his measure are ideas that come from no less than Eddie Calvo, the 2011 version of it. B.J. is back on. Let's run back to him real quick.
Of 2011 did help stabilize the government and grow it from 2011 to this year, when we suffered the ravages of the ill-named Jobs Act and Tax Act by the Trump administration. That is what is in my Bill 244. And earlier this week, I did the first thing. We got the override on the health insurance to try to get some savings there. And the rest of what was announced on that video is in Bill 244. So we'll start with the public testimony.
Okay, and we'll go ahead and leave them to that. The Speaker B.J. Cruz presiding over this public hearing, and I'm looking at the crowd. I'm going to leave this up here probably until the end of the program so that you can see the folks that are there. And maybe you can't hear it, obviously, unless I bring it back up. But I do want to let you know that there is something else that is going on, and it is possible that some of the hearing, some of the testimony that is presented over at the legislature could very well be some of the conversation that we are going to be having tomorrow. This program ends in about 13 minutes on this radio station, but it's worth pointing out that you'll be able to go to the Guam Legislature live page at YouTube and watch all of this hearing. This is one of three that they just started, 9:30 this morning, and there'll be another at 2 o'clock this afternoon and this evening at 6 o'clock. And I'm trying to see, it's too far away for me to be able to look at the screen to see what faces are in. I know Bob Klitsky will be in there because Bob sent me a pre-release on his testimony. Maybe I'll get some chance to review some of that as it gets forward. Because I don't know who's going to be coming up first. I think I know that they were talking about Judge Merriman going in to talk about how these cuts are going to affect the folks over at the courthouse. We did spend a couple of minutes with Sean Gumatauta on it yesterday, and he heard me later on talking about quality time. It actually sent me the definition of what quality time is and why it is part of the reductions that they're going to be making over on the courthouse in the next couple of days, so that they might be able to save up some money. And naturally, when I press on the deal that says this, it's not in front of me. Hold on. Quality time at the courts. It has nothing to do with me and baby sister Montesilva goofing off at the jury duty. Authorized by PL 25-72, it allows full-time employees of the government of Guam to volunteer to work 20 hours a week and get paid 50% of their current salary, 30 hours a week and get paid 75% of their current salary. The public law provides that no employee will lose any benefits they were receiving prior to opting into that program. So it's one of the things that they're talking about over at the courthouse, and that goes on the pile of cost savings that you might have seen over at the Department of Education. DOE and their Ed Board has chimed in and has been talking about which of the two plans they like. They seem to like the governor's plan because it comes with money for education, as opposed to the ideas that BJ's floating around with. 948, Hafalai Carl.
Hey, good morning, Ray.
Hey, sorry it took me so long to get to you. Just so much going on today. Did you appreciate the conversation that I had with the other Carl?
Very much.
I'm glad.
I always appreciate your conversations. I listen regularly every morning, and I'm glad you're back on the air.
You should watch it, too. Do you watch it? Do you have the Facebook thing?
Yes.
Okay.
But usually when I'm tinkering around doing other things, I'm listening, to stuff going on in the background, and my eyes are kind of occupied doing other things.
Understood. Well, it's still a radio. It's just we've got some visual aspects to it as well. Now, just a note, because people ask all the time, can I get a copy of this? Can I watch this again? The answer is, unlike other places, yes, you can. This program becomes a video on demand just after 10 o'clock when I press the live stream. When I turn it off, it becomes a video on demand feature on the Point.gu's Facebook page. So it's Point.gu is how you find us, and there's a date and time stamp on top of it, and we put that up there not to keep me in track of what time it is and what day it is, but so that you can scan through the program to get exactly to the parts that you need, a newscast or an interview or even the phone call that I've got with Carl right now. Your thoughts on what's taking place over at the legislature?
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in on a couple of issues. One of them was regarding the Trump tax plan.
Yes.
Obviously government is going to take a hit at the national level and at the local level, but and we're focused on that, because there will be some effect. But something I think that we tend to forget is that money is going to remain in the private sector, and the private sector will be able to use that to hire more people, to buy new equipment, to expand companies, so there will be expanded economic activity. There were 4 major tax cuts in the 20th century. One of them was the JFK tax cut. The top marginal tax rate at that time, believe it or not, was 95%. Not very encouraging to risk capital, and starting new businesses. So when the Kennedy administration did a drastic tax reduction that caused the private sector to risk a lot more capital, starting up new businesses. In all 4 cases of those major tax reductions, revenue went up. It did not decrease. It increased all 4 times. The problem is that government consumption also ballooned and swallowed up all the increases. So that's something we're not looking at, is that, we're looking at, the government is going to be missing revenue.
But more to a point that I've tried to make over and over, I am very, very afraid of this sunset provision that they keep talking about, because I don't trust politicians. I'm sorry, I say it out loud. I don't trust them. It is a reaction to what is taking place now, and what's going to happen is in 2 years, the government is going to get used to having all of that additional revenue, and they're not going to want to go backwards. So if we go to 5, it's going to stay at 5. If we go to 6, it's going to stay at 6. I don't care what the law says about sunsets and termination procedures. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, there's that danger, and I totally agree that that is something to be very conscious of, that once it's in place, it's very hard to go back.
The camel's nose will be in the tent, Carlos.
Yes. One other thing I wanted to mention, I have the first column piece I have in the Guam Daily Post.
I saw that. I'm so proud of you.
I just wanted to share my experience, with my wife, at GMH. And, I was born at the old GMH. My dad passed there from cancer. My mom from Alzheimer's, and we've had some positive experiences there. But that was a particular one that I didn't want people to, I didn't want my wife's experience to be forgotten, in all the bureaucracy. And so I've shared that, several times, because I think it drives home the point that the bottom line in all this is not, politics and, budgets and even jobs. It's human lives. And this thing that happened to my wife, that incident, which people would find on page 19 of the Guam Daily Post, it didn't involve money. It involved systemic problems, and that worries me at least as much as the money issues. That if we just throw money at the problem, it's going to make permanent a lot of these systemic issues that are existing at GMH. And I think we need to look at possibly bringing in an outside, management that a company that does this full time, and manages hundreds of hospitals.
Can do it. Can do it. You know what? We brought in outsiders before. Joe Verga, McMillan. There's half a dozen other names out there. I'm sure that if I thought about it, I'd remember. And the first time they go after any of the sacred cows over at Guam Memorial Hospital, bam, oversight hearing. And before you know it, these guys will be gone so fast they'll make your head spin. And it's the kind of thing that follows you around in your career. So I would. There's no political will to get it done, and that's why we all embrace the idea of a private entity coming to Guam.
Yeah, I'm not for just piecemeal hiring, this manager, from here and this manager from there. I used to work with, one of the largest real estate developers on the island, who still owns two, large major hotels on the island. I think you know what I'm talking about. But they own the property. The land, they own the building. They would never in a million years think of piecemealing together a management team and employees to run a hotel. They always go out to companies like like Hyatt, the Hilton, these other companies that do this for a living. They've got all the systems in place, the purchasing systems, the human resources systems, the maintenance systems. Everything is all, it's all there, and it's all tested over decades. And this is something I think we really seriously need to look at and adopt, is that kind of thinking, outsourcing. And I'll just leave one last...
If you don't put it on some kind of a referendum with very clear lines for the government of Guam to follow, it's not going to happen. My case in point is going to be medicinal marijuana, and I will always use that as a cautionary tale. The people of Guam have spoken. We want to have medicinal marijuana for whatever reason it is that they wanted to have medicinal marijuana. Everybody gangbusters, let's do this. And we get so caught up in the details that are not prescribed in the legislation. That are not necessarily seen to in the same thing, the same batch of laws that you and I vote on, and we get ourselves all cocked up in them, and so it ain't gonna happen. So maybe we'll just stop thinking about it and figure out what it is that we've got to do, that we can do given the constraints of our current system, and figure out a way to get it better. Because I honestly cannot. Short of the thing falling down under the weight of its own gravity and inefficiencies, collapsing into concrete and rubble. Short of that happening, I can't imagine what's going to cause the kind of change that is needed in our healthcare system that would bring that kicking and screaming into the 21st century.
I'll just leave you with one final thought before I let you go.
Yeah, sorry.
I've shared many times, I think people, there's going to be some that are going to roll their eyes. Oh, not again. Here he goes again. But I've shared many times about the example of Sandy Springs, Georgia. If you go to YouTube and type in Sandy Springs, the community that outsourced everything. They actually outsourced everything except police and fire. But they're a community of 100,000. They have no long-term liabilities.
Right.
There are some differences between Sandy Springs and Guam, and I acknowledge that. But
I got the music playing in the background. I'm not cutting you off because you're doing the Sandy Springs story again. I'm just it's 10 o'clock already, so I got to go. But I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate your thoughts. Legislative hearing going on. It started just a little bit ago. You missed the speaker trying to hoist the governor on his own petard. There may still be more of that. I think Les Carlson was talking. They're doing some PowerPoints up there right now, so there's still plenty more action taking place there. If you can't stomach it, then I urge you to stay here on this program, because coming up on this station, Brian Kilmeade is going to be on the radio, the incredible Rush Limbaugh later on, and Sean Hannity. Overnights we've got Coast to Coast, and I think Michio Kaku, the guy that does his own radio show on Saturdays, the Science Fantastic, will be George Norrie's overnight guest, since we're staying up for. Hey, I got to go. Appreciate everybody listening. Appreciate everybody watching. We are KUSG Agana.
Vowing to do away with bump stocks. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. President Trump cracking down on devices that modify semi-